Hey everybody, Royal the Lions UK, just getting set up here. Matt and Ant and Ash and others to join. It's going to be, fellas, our biggest show, the biggest number of participants for some time. And despite the result, I'm looking forward to it. How are you guys doing?
I'm all right. I know, obviously, I'm probably the most pessimistic of the three of us, probably about yesterday, but we live and learn. We've just got to correct the mistakes, I guess.
Yeah, doing all right. Yeah. Day out the system, just had a chance to reflect today, but we're still in a good position, so I'm not too fussed.
I mean, I still take this position if you give it to me in pre-season. 100%, 110%. Someone
Yeah,
said
I
you.
would, except for the fact that we didn't sweep the Bears. That's the only thing I don't like.
Yeah. I like the fact that my preseason takes on the Bears are slowly coming true. Even though it means that the Bears are better than everyone wants them to be. But Bears are on the right trajectory. And I saw, Ant, you were talking with our friend Ryan on Twitter, and well, he might be changing his opinion on Flus. Well, he's giving him a shadow of a thread of a chance to hang on.
I mean, it's only year two for him. He's basically at where Dan was last year, so I don't know. Maybe the calls for his head been that loud were premature from them. Who knows? But
Yeah.
he's where Dan was last year, and it seems they're in a similar sort of position. So, but they've just got a choice to make on the quarterback big time. So, but they seem they're all right, giving us a couple of tough games this year.
I kind of don't think there's a bad decision for the Bears this year, the longer it goes on. I think they should keep Fields and punt the pick. I don't think they should pick at 1. But if they manage to get a 2 for Fields and pick at 1, I don't think that's a bad move either. Like, the more I think about it, the more I think probably the coaching is not good enough to use a rookie QB effectively. But at the same time, if he's great, then who cares? So there's more luck involved with picking at 1. But, yeah. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what happens when we go, because Chicago will be at number 1 on the clock when we get to Detroit. Which is fun. Hey, everybody in the chat. How you doing? Come say hello. Mike the Marine's in the chat. So's Dan McGuinness, SW Lyon, Mel Marker, Brent DeWitt, and Carlton Wood. If you want to shout out, come say hi. Tom's in the house as well, but he's on mute, so I don't know if we can say hi. There he is. Oh, he's still on mute somehow, even though you're not on mute on Zoom. This is annoying. But Steve's in the building. How you doing, Steve? Is your microphone working as well?
It is.
Hey.
I'm just sort of
Quiet.
I'm making disgruntled noises. Although I have to say, I'm instantly cheered up by the sight of Tom Wilkinson.
Same.
If only he could express his gratitude to see you as well, but unfortunately, his microphone isn't working. So, oh, yeah. Ryan McCluskey will be joining us, but not sure when and for how long. So, yeah. I do feel quite good that the 2 people I wanted to see on the field most had a good day, which was Ifeatu Melifonwu, and for the 8 snaps he was on defense for Romeo Okwara. But yeah.
Well, he was good on special teams as well. He was our best special teams player according to PFF.
Yeah. The peripheral players playing well. I swear the defensive grades shouldn't be this meh. It must just be the tackling grades. But
It's the tackling grades, I think. Yeah, because you look at pretty much if you put that split between Broderick and Broderick and everyone below, sub 60 tackling grades.
yeah. All right. Take 2 for Tom Wilkinson.
Can you hear me?
Hey!
I feel like it's almost a running bit. I mean, partly because I clearly haven't been long enough that I have genuinely got a new computer during that time. So I had to reset the settings.
No.
But yeah, I was actually in a shocking turn of events, just me being a complete moron and actually putting my mic on mute like that, thinking it was the other way around. Again, because I haven't been on so long. But it is a delight to be back with you.
We're glad you're here. I'm just expressing my mood with the shirt here, which says, yeah. But there we go. How have you been? It's been a while, Tom.
It has. I've been good. Unfortunately, a couple of other conflicts have kept me out for a while, but I actually felt bad. I went on Dan Pass's podcast a few weeks back, and I was saying to him, I was like, I almost feel bad being here because that was, I think, a Tuesday, and I hadn't been able to be on a Monday or Thursday for the past 6 or 8 weeks. So, yeah, I've been thoroughly letting you boys down, but doing an incredible job without me. So, I'm like the most limited role player. I might come on and do a few snaps, but I don't impact anything. So I'll just appear every now and again.
I don't know. Maybe you're our Jalen Reeves Maven.
Ooh, like that. I mean,
I will not have that slander to say that JRM has not made an impact.
The point was that he has. I was telling him he's been great for us when he plays. Wait, how's the stag do?
It was good. Yeah, I've just come off a stag do or bachelor party. It was not too bad. It was based in the UK. It was more of like a quite boozy winter getaway rather than a really over the top deal. So I'm not that short on sleep. You'll have to see if I kind of start drifting off halfway through this, but no, I'm feeling okay.
All right. How are you doing, Steve?
I'm feeling pretty pissy after last night. I'm feeling in a combative mood.
Oh,
I'm feeling that things need to be said.
I'm feeling in a bit of a pissy mood because we scored 333% more points than the Minnesota Vikings and they got a win.
There was some crazy football across week 14.
I think Ryan watched the entirety of the Raiders Vikings game like a fucking sicko.
I mean, he's been watching Bradford football for how long? So he's used to it.
Yes, love that. Hang on a minute. Hang on a minute. Let me get this hand signal right. That's personal foul roughing the pass.
I mean, no more than a personal foul than what AI gave to Bradford on Friday.
It's about as much as a personal foul as Alex Anzalone on the sideline, which is a bullshit call.
Oh yeah, true,
fucking rubbish call. And people who are calling that out at the time need a word. Because he's got 1 foot in bounds. You're allowed to hit him. Like, you only gave him a tap. Bloody annoying.
I mean, you could be worse. You could be the victim of a DK Metcalf suplex.
I didn't see that, but is that a real thing?
Yeah, so yesterday, I think it was Fred Warner picked off a pass. DK Metcalf gets him. So Warner laterals it to another 49er, and DK Metcalf just decides to suplex him and he gets ejected.
I mean, if there is a player in the NFL that I was thinking that after Pat McAfee, he'd be the next person to go to the WWE, Metcalf might be the guy. Right build, just stacked.
I can see it.
Seems like he might be a bad dude. Like,
there's a tiny bit.
There's a few things, like, it didn't seem like it originally, but there's a few things recently which have been, let's be generous and say questionable. Might not be a great dude.
You say questionable, I say doubtful if we're talking about designations of how much of a good dude he is.
Soon to be out, yeah.
I mean, he did come out of Ole Miss right around when they were in a lot of doo-doo, if I remember rightly. Yeah.
I don't remember there being character concerns with him as such, though. but I don't know. I mean, I didn't go deep into the DK Metcalf personality test, so
Hasn't there been a couple of dirty hits and he's come out and basically just said, I don't care? Like, on the record, he's like, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I mean, possibly, but I think personally my biggest issue with him is when he took a golf cart to have a shit. Which for me is just, I mean, it's kind of like legendary, but it's also inexcusable. And then people were like, yeah, but like he obviously had stomach cramps. So, like you can understand why he took the golf cart for a shit. And it's like, yeah, but he also came back in on it.
That's how like I suppose generic wrong.
I can't see him getting away with that in gritty Dan Campbell's world.
I thought you were going to say, like, I couldn't imagine him getting away with that in kind of generic cold, wet, rainy night in Stoke or equivalent metaphor that you were going to go for. But
I mean, this is a question for Ryan McCluskey. Could he get away with that at Bradford City? Could Ash Taylor get away with that?
How you doing, Ant?
Yeah, doing good.
Good. You doing prepping for college, I suspect?
No, I'm watching tape. Always on the grind.
Oh, God.
Yes.
You're a glutton for punishments there.
what kind of tape? We talking the Bears game, or it's completely different?
Draft prospects. So
Love that.
Oh,
no, I'm not watching. I'm not watching the Bears game.
Your insight this year.
What?
I'm not watching the Bears game again. Once was enough. You don't put bleach in your eyes twice. You learn the first time. So.
Oh, I didn't.
What position are you watching? Because I want to try and guess which player you're watching.
No, because it'll give it away.
It's probably Christian Haynes then.
No, I've watched him already.
He's watching punter tape. That's what he's doing.
I'm watching. Oh no, it's long snappers. Get it right.
I was gonna say, Matt, how much did you enjoy when there was like what you could almost call long snapper content at some stage during the game?
You say at some stage pretty fucking early as well.
I literally said that. I was like, there we go.
The thing is, let it never be said that I was harsh to Scott Daly just for the sake of it, because McQuaid, that was a fucking awful snap.
Scott Daly would have done better.
He would have. Daly never had a snap that bad. If Daly wasn't good, but he wouldn't have had a snap that bad.
Exactly. I know you basically said the same, but props to Fox for actually getting that down in time.
The timing was so clearly off though, because Patterson plants his foot and basically has to wait for a quarter second, half second. He never had a shot. I know people are saying he got it down, but it's like he wouldn't have got it down if he'd gone through at full speed. So the fact that he even got close to the posts is insane, really. So botched. Wasn't the best special teams thing that happened though this week. Benito Jones, what a fucking hero. I mean, he always made it halfway. Many thanks.
I can imagine what it'd be like if we ever did a timed 40 run. That'd be, we'd look like Benito. Just half the speed.
If I break 5.5, 6 seconds, I'll be absolutely staggered.
It's always underrated how quick 5 seconds flat actually is.
Yeah.
Because you only see it when it's big, giant humans at 300 plus pounds doing it. And so they look so slow, but it is not that slow.
And I'm basically like Isaiah Likely weight at the moment. So if I can't run it in 5 seconds, that's really bad. Mike Marine subscribing on Twitch at tier 1, gifting a tier 1 sub to Derek Bobaric saying, cheers UK GB 6-pack. We are the 6 today. How you doing, Brian? You're muted.
I've been a lot better.
I'm here for the
outrage today.
Can we put bets on who's going to be more pissed today out of Steve and Ryan? Can we take bets? I want to know who's going to come up with the craziest.
I've already got an analogy summed up.
Oh no!
Yeah,
no.
We were just talking a DK Metcalf, and I've got a question for you. If Ash Taylor, halfway through a game at Bradford City, decided he needed a shit and he demanded a golf cart to take him there and back, How would you feel about that?
Oh no, I was going to say something then, but I won't say that.
Almost.
This is a safe space. This is a safe space, Ryan.
Well, it'd be fine as long as I can pick the driver of the golf cart. Does anyone know the royal family's representatives that can find me a driver?
Oh, no. See, you were going, I was thinking Richard Hammond, but you went even worse. Jesus Christ.
No, but seriously, DK Metcalf is one of the biggest dickheads in the league.
Honestly,
Honestly.
look at this. I didn't see it at all.
You need suspending. Like, he's hurt a killer Witherspoon off the ball, broke his rib. He nearly ripped Kirby's face off with a face mask penalty. He suplexed somebody. Like, the guy needs suspending for a good amount of games. He's going to hurt someone really bad eventually.
Who was the
you shouldn't
DB for
allow it.
just constantly making bad hits? Who got fine? Who got suspended twice?
The
Oh, God, the
Broncos
Texans
guy.
one.
The
Green
Broncos
Jackson.
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a
Green
Broncos
Jackson,
guy.
Jamal Adams, and DK Metcalf have got to be three of the least likable players in the NFL. One's terrible and overrated. One's a thug. And the other one's just a bully.
Did you
You
see
can
the
find it on
Jamal Adams thing where an analyst posted like footage of him covering
He calls
a receiver, and he just put yikes, and then Jamal Adams found a picture of him with his wife and just put yikes. It was just like an unbelievable low blow.
I'm kind of here for that.
I did laugh.
Oh man, I'm here for the shit takes, basically. Like that's awesome. But yeah. Okay, should we do this? I'll take that as a yes.
You're doing it. I was just ready to just get straight in and plow through this. Let's go.
Let's go. I'm gonna rattle through so we can get onto the meat of this. Okay. Here we go.
Recording in progress.
Welcome to another edition of the Royal Alliance UK podcast, episode 239. Stop hitting yourself. I'm Matt, alongside Ant and Ash and Ryan and Tom and Steve. How you doing, boys?
Is there someone missing? Why can't I see like just a shadow? Like there should be an extra person.
It's because I have an AI bot recording and transcribing the show.
Oh.
But it could take your
Welcome
job
to
as well.
2023. I thought we were in like a horror film, like that film where they all get trapped in that webcam and it starts killing them.
Oh, yeah.
It sounds like
I
The
don't know what you
Ring,
mean.
but like updated.
Unfriended, that's what it was. I thought we were stuck in that.
Yeah.
I have no idea what you're on about. Let's get on topic. This is the Lions.
Let's get on to us losing against the Bears.
Yeah. Yeah. I do really feel like Nelson from The Simpsons is just, well, the NFC North actually versus the Lions recently. But anyway, we'll get onto that in a second. Lions at Bears, we're going to be breaking that down now because we have nothing
We
better
have
to do
to.
with our lives. Yeah.
We're contractually obliged.
The sad part is that we're really not. We could just not.
We're just here. We're just here so we don't get fined.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to get through some preamble. We got a little bit of news coming out from the Dan Campbell press conference, which happened about 15 minutes ago. And then we're going to get into the game. We've got our Discord channel, which is, of course, a great place to be all the way through the week. Even in a bad week, it's still a great place to be. Link is in the chat right now. Come and join us. It's a supportive community where you can vent your frustration. College Football Podcast. And what's going on this week?
Bowl prediction week. So bowl season is upon us. So me and Ryan are going to be doing our predictions for that, and then going through the end of season awards as well. So yeah, it's going to be good.
Please do join the boys, of course, with the draft just 4.5 months away. You got to start learning about the prospects because, of course, we'll be there alongside the rest of the year. Come and have some beers with us, and we'll cheer the Bears making mistakes at 1 and 5 in the NFL draft. Please do like the show, sub to the podcast, all that good stuff, and add Lions Nation Unite on their Facebook group. Herman Moore's project to bring the best and nice content creators together. We're Twitch affiliated, YouTube monetized. There's a tip jar down below in the YouTube description if you're enjoying the show and you want to show some love that way. Much appreciated. And there's a feedback form down there too if you've got some... why can't I speak tonight? If you've got suggestions for content or constructive criticism, like replace the host, for example, then you can do that there. Thanks for that, Steve. And we have got our merch store live as well. That's in the chat at the moment. If you want a Christmas gift for someone, if you haven't bought anything yet and you're like, oh, it's only 2 weeks till Christmas, you know what to do. It's a great way to help the show out and get something back. Right, news. Dan Campbell reveals that Chauncey Gardner-Johnson and James Houston are expected to return in late December or early January at the earliest. Ragnow is TBD for Saturday. Bruce Irvin ankle injury is what kept him out this week, as opposed to it being any sort of tactical thing. He says that the Jerry and Vildor rotation is going to continue. He liked what he saw from Vildor yesterday. He said he's got no problem with yesterday's offensive game plan and play calling, just execution was lacking. And when talking about expanding JMO's role, he gave a generic answer about getting all the best players involved, but says he has earned more opportunities. A lot of that refers to the game, and we'll get into that. But injuries, boys, it's affected us obviously with Ragnow not being in, and CJGJ and Houston are two big players that we could get back. Ryan, does it feel like it could turn our fortunes around if we can get these guys back? If we make the playoffs and CJGJ and Houston are back in, does it make a big difference, you think? And I mean, Ragnow too, right?
I'll see it when I believe it. I don't believe they're coming back. I've heard this multiple times. I don't believe what the players say. I don't even believe, say, that Dan's that confident. Until the medics, they literally physically signed off to return the windows opened. And also, I don't think Chauncey Gardner-Johnson will make a huge difference. If I'm totally honest, I don't think he made a big difference right at the season. People are, praising him, getting him back like he's this almighty God and he will solve all of our problems. I don't like him as a person, as a player. He's good, but for me, just don't fix it. Houston, on the other hand, God, we could really do with him back. Because honestly, everything opposite Hutch has been a waste of space. We are just not. We've got no one capable of setting the edge on that other side. Like I say, Bruce. Well, I'm not surprised he's hurt already. The guy's the Tin Man. And even if he wasn't hurt, you still don't play him. He's got no lateral movement whatsoever. Justin Fields would have absolutely declated him just with a simple juke. So even if he was healthy, I still wouldn't have played him anywhere because he would have been completely nullified. Ragnow, if Ragnow can't go on Saturday, I'm chalking that up as an L. Because I know they're not doing disastrous things, but we can't run the hot ball behind our secret and Casarsdale. We've proved now in multiple games it don't work behind them. And Graham, it's his second best position. He's doing the best he can, but yeah, so injuries right now, they're killing us. And like I say, I would love to get James back, but I just don't want to be too late by the time we do get him back, like I say, because these next 4 games, like I say, there's no gimme get that there'll be a 5th game. So it's all right saying early January, will we have football to play in early January? That remains to be seen. So, and play calling, of course, Dan's going to say that. We all saw different. Like you say, some of the play calling I thought were terrible. I thought we're out coaching. I hate some of the decisions. Like you say, running on 2, 3rd and a mile, running the ball. Like say, wide open reads getting missed. It was a calamity. But yeah, I'm not surprised. Dan is just keeping stum. Like I say, he's not going to go on a massive run. He ain't going to throw anyone under the bus either, because right now that is probably the last thing we need.
Tom?
Yeah, CJ is the better player. One thing that's been a little frustrating, I think, is we've all watched the defense the last 4-6 weeks. There doesn't seem to be a lot of frustration on the field, and I don't mean people losing their minds. Just it's a little bit defeatist at times. And I don't think you'll see that with CJ back on the field. He'll be the guy who's trying to rile everyone up in a good way. So I think that'd be appreciated. What I would say, though, is if you're missing 12, 16 weeks, whatever it would be, trying to expect someone in that role to come back and make significant impact just feels like a really hard ask with a lot of rust to shake off. Whereas Houston, obviously not as proven as a player, but not only is bringing a skill set we don't currently have on the roster, but also is in a much more limited role. He'd just be told to pin his ears back, bend the corner, and go get pressure on the quarterback. So actually, I feel like that's an easier thing to come back to if you've had that much time off, obviously assuming he's fully healthy. It's similar to Rye. Let's see when they come back. I really don't think we should expect any kind of impact from them. If they do provide an impact, brilliant. But I think we'd be kidding ourselves if we were saying James Houston completely changes this defense off a 4 months without playing, sadly.
Steve, do you agree?
Yeah, and I think, if you want to play football in January, you're going to have injuries. Pretty much every NFL team has got its fair share of injuries. There's a few teams around the league that are doing, that are above 500 that are pretty ravaged by injuries, and it's just something we need to deal with. But I think what it has done is it's just really shown our lack of depth at key positions.
And is that how you see it too?
Yeah. We're missing CJ something chronically. We have done all season. There is not one iota of leadership in that secondary. There's no organization. There's lots of stupid mistakes been made, lots of busted coverages. I would wheel him out right now with whatever injury he's got over pretty much any of our secondary players at all. I think he's that important to this team. And it doesn't help. We're young. We're missing him. We're missing Mosley. We're missing Aleem. We can't afford to lose that kind of leadership. And that's what happens. You have a lot of young guys who are missing that leadership, especially he is one of the only players on this team who's ever been to a Super Bowl. Like, we don't have that sort of experience in our ranks. And right now we are pushing for the playoffs where a lot of these players have never been. And you need that sort of veteran leadership on the field. That's critical to a team like this. So I hope he's back soon. He said the 20th on his... I hope that they relent and let him on. And they get him back because we need him badly. And we need Houston back really badly as well. So if we can hold on to the playoffs and get these guys back, hopefully give them a game or two, ease them back in, get their loads up, then we should be in really good stead. And I hope they are back because, yeah, they're very critical to this team.
Ash, anything to add?
Yeah, the one thing when I CJ, what does he bring to this back end other than leadership? Turnovers. We're talking about a guy who led the league in interceptions last year. What has this defense, outside of a couple of good guys, games from Jerry and 2 good games from Kirby, what we've lacked on the back end? Interceptions. Is bringing someone back who has done that for the past few years in the league, always been up there this year. Last year, obviously, led the league in interceptions. Thought he could have got the big contract, he didn't. Came to us to sort of build up here, and then obviously tears his pec in week 1. Been out since. I think he's actually got the easier road back because that injury is a lot easier to recover from than what Houston had to him later as well, because that was obviously the week later. Because if you listen to, I know it's probably another podcast, but Detroit Lions podcast ones with the docs that I've got in, Houston, if he's back, will only be allowed to play on the right-hand side because of the way his game is with the sort of ankle protection and all that he has. Because of the way his leg is, he will only be able to do that from the right-hand side because he's having no muscle on the left-hand side of his ankle because of what's happened with his leg. So you're really limiting his game. So yeah, he might be able to bring us a bit from that right-hand side, but when teams see him out there on the right-hand side on passing downs, they'll be able to game plan for him. Or GJ, he's a bit further back and he's got an easier injury to recover from. So for me, he'll probably have the better impact in terms of on-field production as well as helping with the leadership and communication in the back end that we've missed sorely, especially this week where as we'll come on to in a bit, we sat our defensive secondary leader for some reason.
Right,
quick question.
Sorry.
Who here would re-sign Gardner Johnson if he doesn't come back this season for injury? Like say, who would sign him on a multi-year deal if you could? Would you all re-sign him? Or would you just let him walk?
I'd sign him because there's nobody else in that secondary who does what he does. I don't care if he's been injured. His price tag's going to go down. I'm going to keep him here because you are likely going to draft another corner this year pretty high. So you are going to have an even younger secondary than you have now. And veteran presences like him don't just come on the open market all the time, and they don't offer what he does. And we're still training Branch, so having him here helps Branch's development, and it gives us a bona fide leader in the secondary. They just don't come onto the free agency market very often. And if they do, you've got to pay through the nose for them. So I would take advantage and say, look, we've stuck by you this year. We'll give you the same money again, maybe over a couple of years, whatever. Give you a chance to get a better deal, give you some big incentives, and go with that. But I am not letting him walk out the building with what we've got left here. Not a chance.
Assuming market value deal, yeah, I'm returning him. I don't think it's a repeatable injury particularly, and I mean, it's as much about our depth as it is about him as a player. Like, Trace has been benched. He's, for me, a surefire cut candidate in the off-season. We get too much back for him for a backup player. So now you're hoping... In fact, is Melifonwu on his last year as well? So...
Entering his last year of his rookie deal next season.
Okay, so we got 4 more years. Okay, so that's fine. So Melifonwu is the backup, CJGJ is the starter, along with Kirby, who's had a bad season. Like, you need 2 or 3 guys in that room. So yeah, if you got the option, I take it.
Right, from your side, because I'm getting the impression maybe you don't see it that way. Would you bring him back on the same kind of 1 year deal? Was it 8 mil? I can't remember, 8 or 10, something like that. Would you bring him back on that short term?
Like I said, I won't tie myself to him any longer. I think I'll give him 1 year, another prove it deal. I probably wouldn't even give him 8 million. I'd probably haggle and say, if you want to stay here, you get like 4 or 5, I'm honest. But I agree. Actually, I think Tracy's been my biggest disappointment of the year. He's gone missing. There's no leadership. He's gone into hiding. And I see why he was benched. Like I say, and it pains me to say that. I know he's had an injury, but yeah, he's not rallying them up, is he? And he's 29? He's like the old father time back there. And I expect more from him. So yeah, I won't be surprised if he gets sat on Saturday. If he doesn't start, to be honest.
All right, let's do this. Lions 13, Bears 28. Lions points all coming in the second quarter. So you talk about turd quarter, but unfortunately it was turd first quarter and turd fourth quarter as well. Goff, 20 of 35, 161, a touchdown, 2 picks, both picks coming in garbage time of either half. On the ground, Jahmyr Gibbs led the team, 11 carries for 66 yards and a touchdown. David Montgomery, 10 carries for 66 yards. Receiving-wise, led by Josh Reynolds, 3 of 4 for 44 and a touchdown. Sam Laporta, 2 of 6 for 23. Amon-Ra, 3 of 9 for 21. It was a bad day receiving the ball for some key players for the Lions. On offense for the Bears, Justin Fields, 19 of 33 for 223 and a touchdown. Also 12 for 58 and a touchdown on the ground. Donta Foreman had 11 for 50. And then DJ Moore, 6 of 10 for 68 and a touchdown in the air, but also 3 for 20 and a touchdown on the ground. Otherwise led in the air by Cole Kmet, 5 of 7 for 66 yards. They did recover a fumble of ours. Botched snap was recovered by TJ Edwards, and they had a pick by Jalen Johnson and Tremaine Edmonds as well. Lions led on defense by Jack Campbell with 10 and Alex Anzalone with 9 tackles. There were 3 sacks, one by Jalen Rees-Mabin, one by Aiden Hutchinson, one by John Kaminsky, and 2 other tackles for a loss, one by Benito Jones and one by Kindle Vildor. Chicago had Jaquan Brisker with 17 tackles in the game, which is just ridiculous. They had 4 sacks, 1 for Montez Sweat, 1 for Yannick Ngakoue, 1 for Justin Jones, and then Jones and Gervin Dexter shared 1 between them. Other tackles for a loss, there was 1 by Tremaine Edmonds, 1 by TJ Edwards, 1 by Jack Sanborn. Otherwise, we were talking about it before the show started, but Riley Patterson missed an extra point, and the Lions blocked a Cairo Santos extra point as well. Boys, high-level takes here before we go through the drive summaries and going through the game as it happened. But what are your big takeaways from this game? I'll go in the reverse order from how I just went. So Ash, I'll come to you first. How are you feeling the day after now that the Lions fall to 9-4? And are we 2-2 in division now.
Think so, but yeah, we split with the Bears and the Packers haven't even played the Vikings yet. So
Yeah.
looking forward to that, especially after their iconic win last night. Such an offensive performance. But anyway, the thing I'm most upset about, and I know it's petty in that, the fact that we came so damn close to my hot take of us keeping Justin Fields under 50 or less yards actually nearly came bloody true. We were so fucking close. And so close to glory. Didn't happen. But that just shows we managed for the most part to keep Fields in the pocket, not really let him scramble, except for some key third downs to get to. And yet, we still lost. The thing that we thought would hurt us the most was actually just a little tiny thorn and pinprick, and it was actually us just going around just mad, as the title says, just hitting ourselves in the face and causing ourselves to bleed that lost us the game. So, as we come on to it, there were some good bits. For the most part, there was mediocre to bad.
And how do you feel the day after?
It was not a nice experience yesterday at all. It's kind of like the first game between us, but we didn't even have the ability to manage a comeback this time. But I kind of understand in a way now that I've thought about it a bit more. We're 9-4 in the year, but what we are quintessentially at the end of the day is a very young football team who was built through the draft. We've got a lot of young guys, and then as I said, we're missing a lot of our experienced vets, which you try and complement out to make a good team. But we're at that point in the year now where you're under serious pressure to deliver, because you are 2 games away from an NFC North title. You are 3 games away from the playoffs. It is a situation that this team simply has not been in before. Like the last 2 years, you've not really been under that pressure because you've been coming from behind. Now you're in front and you're expected to go out and do big things. And with a team like ours, it's pressure. It's a mental barrier that you've got to overcome. And I think we've seen over the last few weeks, it's been getting to them a little bit now. They've been recovering. But yesterday was a case of everybody looked bad. Offense, defense, special teams, hell, even Amon-Ra, who's been our most consistent player for years, he looked like a rabbit in the headlights. And you just don't see that from him. But again, you've got to take into consideration where we're at as a team. This is going to happen. This is what happens when you build young. It's what happens when you build through the draft. It's a big obstacle to overcome, getting to really winning, getting to the postseason. And I feel like that's where we're at the minute. This team is just struggling to adapt to the pressure, and it's making mistakes. Like a lot of the mistakes yesterday, botch snaps, drops, stuff like that. They're pressure mistakes. They are mistakes made because they're feeling the pressure and they're not used to it. It's a process, and I'm not too fussed. At the end of the day, we are 9-4. We're one of 5 teams in the NFL who have 9+ wins. It is not easy to win games of football, despite us not playing well the last month, despite us having our issues. We're still 2 games clear at the top of the division. Why? Because we played some bloody good football for a very long time and put ourselves in a position where we could allow this, where we could absorb a bad period of time like this. So I'm not as worried. I just think this is the next growth of the team. Year 1, you saw them struggle to 10-1 because we were just a bad football team. And you saw them overcome that towards the end of the season. The start of last year, they went 1-6, and you start to question them again. Are they the team we think they're going to be? And yeah, they are. Just took 1 win, took a little bit of a spark, and they took that next step forward. And they took another step forward this year with the great start we had. And now this is just the next obstacle to overcome. So I can understand games like this, given the situation that they're in. I don't like it. I hate losing to the Bears. I hate losing like that to the Bears. I hate every damn thing about it. But I understand this is a team that's on the final precipice of becoming good. And you're going to take games like that in that process. It's what you get for building young. And the fans who have demanded we build through the draft, who have demanded we start again and do it this way, this, unfortunately, is one of the things you've got to deal with. Just keep with them, stick with them. They always prove us right. I'm not as worried after yesterday. I think they'll come back big against the Broncos, because I think now that'll be... Yesterday was a free shot. We're still in charge of our destiny. We've still got a couple of opportunities here, and I think they'll adapt to it. So I'm not as bothered 24 hours on.
How about you, Steve? How does it feel a day after?
I'm more bothered 24 hours on because I've had, for the last 12 hours on social media, I've had people tell me that I'm a bad fan because I'm criticising the team, and people hiding behind our record. Oh, but we're 9-3, we're 9-3, we're 9-4. Well, we're a bad team at the moment, and we've been a bad team since Thanksgiving. If you look back, that 9-4 record is a castle built on sand because we've not really played many good teams this year. The best team we played this year is the Baltimore Ravens, and they spanked us. Played the Chiefs, who are okay, a good team but flawed, and we beat them. And that was a brilliant start to the season. But we played a lot of really, really average teams, and we've squeaked by a lot of them. And then we've gone into a game against the Bears, who are our divisional rivals. We've already. If people are saying, "Oh, but we get these games," these games are just like a wake up call. We've already had a fucking wake up call. It was on Thanksgiving against a very average Green Bay Packers team, who we made to look like peak Favre era of Green Bay Packers. And they spanked us, and the Bears spanked us yesterday. And again, like people saying, "Oh, screwed by the refs." We didn't lose because of the refs. We lost because we played bad football on both sides of the ball. And then I look at the media and what the media are saying, and there's just some unbelievable stuff. I'm on the Pride of Detroit website now. 3 winners, 4 losers from the loss to the Bears. Winner, Aiden Hutchinson. I'm speechless. Hutchinson finished the game with 2 tackles, a pass deflection, a tackle for loss, and a sack. With that sack, he sets a record in franchise history. I mean, Hutchinson is probably my favourite player, but he had 2 horrific moments, which aren't even mentioned in this article. I don't know what they're thinking, where he jumped on the 4th and 13. Like, who jumps on 4th and 13? And he got caught out with a stunt and didn't set the edge, and Fields ran in for a touchdown. Like, we have to recognise that, like, some of our best players are playing badly, and there just seems to be this collective sort of, but we're 9-4. Oh, but you take some positives. Why are you always looking at the negatives? I'm looking at the negatives because the aim of this season is to win a playoff game, and we're not going to win a playoff game playing the rubbish we've been playing for the last month.
Tom, with that glowing endorsement of how we're doing this year so far, how are you feeling the day after that 2-score loss to the Bears?
This is going to sound, Steve, like it's coming directly at you, but I promise you it's not.
Yes.
I think my biggest takeaway actually over the last few weeks is, I think that the general, and this is purely a social media thing, right? I think this is as toxic as the fan base has been, even going back to the Patricia era, because during that era, everyone was, for the most part, pretty aligned in terms of, we hate what's going on, but we weren't really fighting each other. And now it feels like whatever happens, almost to Steve's point, you're not allowed to criticize the team, otherwise you're a hater. But then you're not allowed to defend the team, otherwise you're just a shill. And we just seem to be going at each other the whole time, rather than almost, I don't even think there's a solution as such. And part of this, I think, Ant, you were talking about the team needing to mature, and it's the next stage in their development. Honestly, and there are fans who've been fans of the Lions a lot longer than me, so this isn't a long-term thing. But I think this is a bit of a fan maturation period as well, because we've had 3 or 4 years of such misery, to be honest. And then we got the hope. And now, because of how the team was playing earlier in the season, we're just expecting perfection and excellence the whole time. Now, that is not glazing over the fact it has been a poor team now for 4 or 5 weeks. And I was definitely someone who, I can't remember the weeks kind of exactly, but 2-3 weeks ago, we had these kind of games. There was one game in particular. I think it was actually the Bears game we won. And I was like, look, that felt like a game where every break seemed to go against us, and somehow we got through it. That's what good teams do. We have had our wake-up calls, and we haven't woken up. So this currently is not a great football team. That being said, the Eagles are going through this right now. It's very rare over a 17-game season you are going to have consistent play, good or bad, unless you're the Panthers, throughout an entire season. We're going to get these peaks and troughs. I think it's unfortunate from a fan standpoint, we got those real highs early in the season rather than late. It was much more enjoyable, let's be honest, the other way around. I know we're not at the end of the season yet, but when your kind of hope disappears and then you're on the upward trend, that is a fun journey to be on. We got that immediate hit with the Chiefs game and even some of those other early games. And we probably fooled ourselves a little bit into thinking we were further ahead of the timeline that we were. In reality, there's a lot of kind of good teams in the NFC, which we are one of, even if we're not playing them right now. We're probably not a great team, and that is okay. Last year, we were a really bad team for half a season. Then we were a good team for half a season. This year, we were a great team for 4 or 5 or 6 weeks. And now we're probably the wrong side of good for the last few weeks. But this is all part of the journey. I'd love to tell you we're going to win a Super Bowl in February. I think that's probably unlikely. We are on the right kind of trajectory. That being said, I think that a convincing win against the Vikings or someone like that will turn the sentiment back in our favor. Probably we will overcorrect the other way again, but I do think we are not that far away from, if this team does snap out of it, have a convincing win, especially against someone like the Vikings, I think we will come back together and have that right kind of fan energy going into the playoffs. But right now, it's not a great place to be on social media as a Lions fan, which is a little hilarious when you think we are 9-4 versus where we've been over the last few years.
People are traumatized from 2016, like the year we were going to do it. And then you lose the last 3 of the season, you get booted out in the wild card. People are thinking, oh God, it's happening again. And this is a big thing. Like, because I've been doing this on Twitter, defending the record of where we're at now is not saying that you don't know there are problems with this team. I think we all know there are big problems with this team. You know, they are having their issues, but you've also got to look at the development of the team. Year on year, we're seeing big development from this team. Year 1, year 2, this year. We're already at last year's win tally and we got 4 games left. We were there with 5 games to go. Hopefully going to win the conference. It is bona fide progress forward with a young team in the 3rd year of a complete teardown rebuild. It's like, you know, I don't know what more progress you want this year. Do you want a Super Bowl win? They're not just going to they're not going to morph into experienced pros. All these young guys, they're not just going to morph into experienced pros who can handle pressure. They can't. It's the whole part of the process is, you know, tough love. And this is a team that has not lost back-to-back games in over a year now. So that shows you that when they do lose, they learn. You know, you can see the bigger picture here. This is a team, yeah, it's been spanked a bit more recently than it has that we used to. But they're still winning when they lose. They're not stacking losses. They're not feeling sorry for themselves. They're not learning the lessons. They're still making progress forward. And this is still very much in our hands. So overall, the entire development arc of this team in year 3, it's an improvement. And we've got to take other factors into consideration, the injuries, you know, where you're at. The pressure on this team is... I'm sorry, Steve, but I get it. It's been a rubbish month. It has, and we're struggling. But, I mean, what do you want? You wanted a young team built through the draft, but you just want them to dominate every week and to go 14-3 and go straight to the playoffs. And it's not that easy.
You're totally missing my point. You're totally missing my point.
I'm not, though.
I've never said that we're going to win the Super Bowl. I've never said we're going to be in contention for a Super Bowl. I think we should be able to win the division and we should be able to try and win a playoff game. But to do that, we've got to be playing well, and we've got to be playing well on both sides of the ball. And I feel that people with, like a kind of valid criticism of the team, like me, are being lumped into the lunatic fringe of the Lions. So there were people on Twitter and on social media last night saying we need to start Hendon Hooker against the Denver Broncos. That's absolutely mental. And people saying shit like that don't know anything about football. and they're idiots, and they should be treated as idiots. But you can't put all fans who are critical of the team into that bracket. And the reason why I feel that I'm unhappy about this team is because the one area of the team, the defense, is simply not getting better. And I don't believe fundamentally it's much better than last year. Like, we're papering over cracks. And the reason why I'm pissed is because we've been papering over cracks all season. Like, pretty much since the Chiefs game, the defense has been like shaky as fuck. And every time we play a mobile quarterback, we absolutely get our pants pulled down. And you know, we played Justin Fields 3 weeks ago. What has Aaron Glenn been doing to change things up? Because we were actually no better. You could argue slightly worse than we were 3 weeks ago. And for me, that says something fundamentally wrong with the defensive part of our team. I completely agree on the offense. People calling Amon-Ra St. Brown a dud in articles today. Oh, he was the dud of the team. He's not dropped shit for like 2 years, and he dropped 2 passes. You know, you got to give the guy a pass. But the defense has been absolutely shambolic, and I think we've been very lucky to be 9-4 because of the defense. And that's my frustration. Is you got Pride of Detroit, you got like Colton from The Athletic, all during the game tweeting, "Oh, are you going to blame that on Aaron Glenn? Oh, you know, Jalen Reeves-Maybin's done a sack. Brilliant by Aaron Glenn." Like, look at the bigger picture. That defense isn't getting any better, and Glenn's not improving it.
And so I was about to say, I have never known a coordinator have more Teflon than him at the minute. But I do get why people are annoyed. I do. But again, you look at the flip side of it. Look at our Twitter today. The amount of abuse I've taken for being positive about this and, I don't care about us losing and stuff like that. It's on the flip side. It's just as bad. There is a sect who has come out trying to cause problems here. But I still think overall like the defense. Your secondary's lost its 2 most influential players, like, all year. That can't be helped. Like, we've lost Mosley and CJ, who were meant to be the heartbeat of that. The edge room is rubbish. Like, completely rubbish. We thought we were 7 deep, and we're not. It's just, unfortunately, the growing pains of this team again. But we are still at... The thing is, we are still at 9 wins, and there are only 5 teams. It's hard. And despite all these deficiencies, despite us not playing well, we are still there. I still think that does show a big level of maturation from this team, and we just need to stick with them. But again, that is not me discrediting anyone who is critical. There are reasons to be critical. I just think overall, we're still heading the right way.
Let me bring in Ryan just for a different perspective on all of this. How are you feeling the day after and about the long-term future of the team?
Well, first point is Tom's totally right. The Lions have got, just touchdown National Football League, we've got one of the worst fan bases in the league on social media. There's just nasty people out there. Like I said, dickheads like Honolulu Blues just going after Jerry. And Jerry blocks them apparently in the middle of the game at like halftime. So I don't know when that happened or not, but they tried to make it out like he blocked them like at halftime. If you go after players personally, well, they're going to make it look a dickhead, but yeah. The whole let's play hen and hooker thing, you just make yourself look stupid. People last night, man, I've muted One Pride, Lions, everything. I will have for the last 3 weeks now between games, I've had a complete cleanse on the timeline. I'll just mute the words so I can't see the tweet. I don't need to, because like I say, I'm harsh. I can be brutal. I'm never mean. I don't like to fight. But like I say, I've got my own standards. I have what I deem success and what I deem for the season. If the Lions don't win the division, I'll blow my top. That's all I want. Like I say, I will go off one. 12 hours later on this game. Right. So the Packers, for me, I think they're a very good team. Like I say, the Bears, I think, are a rapidly improving team. And I think a lot of people underestimate them, still give them a lot of credit. But what upsets me is yesterday, we beat ourselves. We helped an okay average young team beat us because we killed ourselves. The penalties were just atrocious. Some of the play calls at the wrong times were terrible. A kicker that I have no longer absolutely any faith in whatsoever. I say shanking extra points, like I say, he's the first person I'm cutting in that season. He can get in the bin. I've got no faith in him whatsoever. Drops at costly times. I get people ragging them and rah, like you say. They were a potential drive to get back into the game. But yeah, he's allowed them drops. I say, because he's earned the right to drop balls.
He has. He's completely earned them after a nearly flawless 2 seasons.
Yeah, and like I say, player calling. I get it. I get people's frustration. Why is Jameson Williams not? Why doesn't he get the ball? Why doesn't he get targets? Like say, Goff, like say, decides not to take the easy check down for a first down, goes for a deep shot. It's like 6 yards underthrown. Like I say, there was no chance ever Jameson was going to get to it. And that's the kind of player where I can't have big explosive plays to Jameson right now because Goff and him have got no rhythm. And I've seen it in every game this season. They're not in sync hardly ever. And the catches he makes half the time, he's coming back for them or readjusting them. So I'm fairly in the camp of I don't give Jameson Williams, I give him snaps, but I won't sacrifice the team winning or losing for targets. Like I said, when I think we're ready, he gets the lion's share. Right now he's not. But yeah, the stats are misleading. Like Jimmy Gibbs had a run of 34 yards. And then he had 26 yards and what is over 11 carries? That's miserable. That was absolutely pathetic, our effort to run the ball. It was either the wrong time or we just got stuffed. Like it was just bad. 12 hours on, I'm very upset because a young team, let's say, it's been gifted this opportunity to try and defend this lead and win the division, and it's going to come down to the wire. And if we like say, we control our own destiny, Minnesota control it just as much as we do. If they were to beat us twice, they could take it on head to head. Like I say, we're both very much in that same kind of position. I do not want to be going into a decider in that last game. I wanted the division wrapped up comfortably by them with a ball on. I don't see that happening. I'm going to learn a lot about these young players. And like I said, their resilience, their toughness, the coaches. And yeah, there's a lot of football left to be played. We've hit a bad spot at a terrible time. Like I said, the Packers firmly breathing down our neck in a great run. The Vikings yesterday, I watched the game. They were horrible, but they won. Like I said, they kept a Raiders team at bay for 60 full minutes and they found a way to win. That, to me, earns a little bit of credit. Like I say, it was a horrible game, but it's hard to win bad games when they drag you into a mire. So I've got to respect that. So, yeah, the NFC North is about to be an absolute, just a battleground. And I don't know who's going to come out on top. But, yeah, yesterday was a tough pill to swallow because I fucking hate the Bears. I don't like the Vikings. Actually, I don't give a shit about the Vikings. They're irrelevant to me. I just don't interest me. Packers, hate them. Green Bay, Bears, I despise them because they just raise their game when they play us. They just find that little extra gear every time they play us to put out their best performances. And that irritates me. Like I say, they do not fear us. And we need to get that back in check.
So I'm not going to try and draw the ire from everyone, but I am going to stick my neck out and say that for everyone who is saying that defense was a problem yesterday, losing their mind. I really think, and maybe this is a low bar to clear, I thought the defense played a bloody good game yesterday. I really, really do. Or at least vastly improved on previous games. And I'll justify it by saying that basically the offense put them in terrible spots all day. Now, we've had problems with not gaining pressure. Field took how many hits? I think we hit him like 6 or 7 times in the game. And I'm not talking just sacks, but like he was walking into massive hits. Like we were putting him under big pressure. We injured him. And then he wasn't able to run as much. I thought that was a big deal in the game. Kaminsky, I thought, had a terrific game. He just put Fields under pressure the whole time. But, that's a lot in the second quarter. But I thought we actually did that in the second half as well. We went into the half ahead. And then they get a field goal in the first drive that they have. We then let them have the ball at their 48 to start, following drive at midfield, following drive at R29, following drive at R30, following drive at their 38 after we turn it over on downs. They didn't have a drive, apart from the very, very first drive of that first half, that started in their own 25. Even the first drive started at the 28. You put defense in such a bad spot. And in those drives, we held them to a field goal, a punt, a field goal, a punt, and then a couple of touchdowns in the middle of it. But when you put a bad defense in that spot against a team that it struggled against so much, and they put Fields under that much pressure, and what let us down was bad tackling, which we really haven't seen all season. Anzalone was the biggest culprit of that, which was really disappointing to see. But coming back off injury with handle masked up, kind of putting him on a hiding to nothing. It seemed a bit unfair to rag on him, really, but that didn't help. D-line tackling was atrocious, but they put the Bears in bad spots, and then situational football just got away from us a little bit. But the coverage was great. There were 3 really good PBUs in there. They had some zone coverage beaters. That happens in a game. You can't always cover brilliantly, but the coverage was improved, the pressure was improved, and the tackling let us down a bit. But the defense kept us in the game. Even later on, we were in the game. And the offense couldn't execute. The offense couldn't get the 4th and 1. They were running on bad downs. The offense lost us the game. For the first time, when people said the offense have lost us the game, I'm on board with you. And actually, the reason why we lost this game in totality, and Amon-Ra has earned the right, I agree with you, to have a bad game. He did have a bad game. Who else had a bad game? Jared Goff had a bad game. The O-line was terrible. And then some of the better players on our defense, like Hansel, only had bad games. But other more peripheral players really stepped up. And it's masked from the fact that we've lost by 15 points to the fucking Bears. But this was an improved performance. And
how did they do on the first drive when the offense hadn't even touched the ball? Like, Luke Getzey's play calling sheet will fit on a matchbox. It's that small and that, there's no creativity to it whatsoever. And they got absolutely mashed. That puts you on the back foot from the start of the game. That first drive is disgusting in every sense of the word, up until DJ Moore taking a snap of his own and running it in without anyone coming near him. It's like he had a force field around him. Like, that's inexcusable. The amount of positions when you put them in 3rd and long, 4th and 13, the entire goddamn world knows that they're not going to run a play because they ain't inventive enough to have a play on 4th and 13. What do? They jump. Indiscipline. Coverage gets burned. Like, no, they're not getting an excuse for this one. For all the bad position, there was good in there, but in key plays, when you've got them on 3rd down, you can get them off the field, you blew it. And that first drive was terrible. He ain't getting off easy on this one just because the offense has a bad day.
Let's talk. I mean, just let's forget the offense for a minute. And I'm absolutely in the camp that the offense has got a lot to answer to in this game because it was shocking. But just on the defense itself, they scored 10 unanswered points in the first quarter. They carved us open like a turkey in the first drive. They scored 18 unanswered points in the second half. We didn't get any turnovers. And, exactly the things that we said we don't want to see this. We're on the podcast with the Bear guys, and, we're saying we cannot leave Jerry Jacobs one-on-one with DJ Moore. And what happens? Jerry is one-on-one with DJ Moore, and it's like a Lamborghini going past a Ford Escort at the lights. It's just like awful. But and to get back onto Ryan's point, the fans shouldn't be going at Jerry on Twitter about that. They should be going against the person who put him in that spot, that he's up one-on-one with DJ Moore with no safety help, and that's Aaron Glenn.
Kind of also an iffy as well, if he didn't do much for it. But yeah, I agree. You cannot let them off for this game at all. This is his third year. This is his third year as an OC. Ben Johnson, everyone's having a go at Ben now because it's popular to have a go at Ben because Aaron's had his lumps thrown at him and that. So yeah, great. But now everyone's going in for Aaron. It's like, Glenn, Has Glenn had a period of success with this defense like Ben has had with the offense? No. Like, he's not had it as an elite top 5 unit in the league in the 3 years that he's been here. He doesn't get the same sort of... He hasn't built up the stash of credit that Ben has. Ben can have a bad game. Ben can have a bad patch because we know he can do it better. Aaron has not to this point. So he doesn't get away with... He doesn't get away with a game like this. For the first time, like we say, first time, offense has really shafted us in this one. It doesn't mean that like he wins. He wins by default because he was slightly less worse than the offense. Still bad. Still a lot of stuff, basic stuff that you should be able to install in there, which is down on him as well as the players. I feel like going after the players is just, it's a cop out at this point.
And also, like, it's the lack of development and it's players going backwards. Like, look at Kirby last season and where he is now. I mean, even Tracy Walker. We know Tracy Walker has been a decent player for us, but he's massively dropped off in terms of his performance. Like, that has to rest with the defensive coach and staff.
Right, let me take you through the drive summary and just some key points in the game, and maybe we can talk about them in particular. First drive, as you mentioned, was not the best. Ansler only started off with a missed tackle on Don Foreman on the second play. Could have put him in 3rd and long instead of 3rd and 2. Field slips out of a tackle, which would have stopped him, gains 13. Fields then with his own read for 12, and then it was finished off with that DJ Moore Wildcat fake handoff to Justin Fields. I think was one of the prettier plays I've seen this season, to be honest, just because when you got Fields in motion, you can't ignore that. And yeah, beautiful design. 7-0 Chicago. Lions first drive. Lions go run to start, put them in a bad situation, but then an incredible catch, a really good throw by Jared Goff to Sam Laporta in tight coverage, snagged it. But then tripping by Graham Glasgow sets us back to 2nd and 21. Amon-Ra gets back 11 to 3rd and 10, but then a sack by Ngakoue means we have to punt. Bears come back on 3rd and 8 from their 11. Hutch and Alex Anzalone get to Fields for a safety, but Fields gets out of it and manages to scamper from the end zone line to the 30, which is just a massive insult. 3rd and 4, then they actually convert to Robert Tonyan, but Alex Anzalone's done some holding as well, so they convert anyway. Fields with a great throw to Mooney versus Sutton. Sutton's jumping the route. It's going for 6, but Fields put such velocity on it just outside him that Mooney manages to snag it and kind of go around the outside for quite a few yards. 3rd and 9, we dial up some pressure. Maybe one of the better designed plays that we've had on defense this season. 3rd and 9, Jalen Reeves-Mabin comes up with the sack. Field goal's good from 46 yards and 10-0 there. Lions second drive. Amazing run off right tackle by Jahmyr Gibbs for 36 yards. Great play design. Got Penei Sewell coming into like the centre position or near the centre position. And he runs outside of the right tackle, which is obviously where you don't think he's going to go. Then we take a delay of game penalty with the play clock and the game clock basically aligned, but I think they dropped the ball there, unfortunately. 3rd and 10, running back screen. Out wide Jahmyr Gibbs, it's a walk-in touchdown if he catches it, but he just misses it. And on 4th and 10, we go for it, and it's picked off by Jalen Johnson throwing to Sam Laporta. It just wasn't there, but JMO was for the touchdown over the top, which is a bit of a shame that Goff missed that. Never mind. We did force a fumble on Jalen Johnson on that play, but the ball went out of bounds before we could recover it, and a flag actually ends up setting the Bears back after that. But I'll stop there because it feels like we kind of turned it around a little bit from this moment onwards. Bears got a great start, boys. The Moore touchdown we've kind of mentioned. Glasgow tripping kind of killed us on that first drive. Anzalone with some missed tackles, the holding. He had the late hit as well in this period of play. Out of bounds. Was it a late hit? I have my own opinion on that. And then Gibbs missed a touchdown, and we went for it on 4th down. A lot happened, and basically none of it went in our favour, save the Laporta catch early.
Yeah, it was quite eventful. Right, we were told, was it like first quarter, like there was it? I don't know, it was like Chris or Aaron, like they spoke to Alex. They're like, yeah, he said I'm fine, I can tackle, just can't catch. Couldn't tackle, could it? And I said, missed a huge sack. It's the big tackle to force 3rd and long, and he just whiffed on them. I said they weren't exactly moves. They were just poor efforts. I say penalties, blatant tripping. Graham knows that. He didn't even try to disguise it. Yeah, like I say, some great throws, like Goff to Laporta and the fields to Mooney. That was beautiful. The coverage could probably not have been any better. It literally goes past Sutton's fingertips, and like I say, Mooney makes a great play. So there were some big players. Like I said, like I said, Jameer Gibbs, one good player, big of the game. That lovely run where he broke off, tore down the sideline. That was it. We didn't really see him for the rest of the game because they bottled him up. But yeah, it was just the drop by Gibbs. Like I say, potential touchdown. For a second, I was taken back to Swift in his rookie game, dropping the game winner against Chicago. It was like that felt reminiscent of that. But yeah, frustrating. I thought it was a penalty on Alex, if I'm honest. It was it wasn't rough, but it was unnecessary. He didn't need to do it. I think he was pissed off because I think he'd missed some tackles. I think he just decided, I'm going to take out on someone. So it was silly, but it was avoidable. Like I say, the interception wasn't terrible, only because they got a block in the back panel, didn't they? Like I say, otherwise that wouldn't have been like a punt because it would have got all the way to like midfield. So we got a break on that. The penalty certainly helped us there, but yeah, it was 4th and a mile, and the floor wasn't even. It didn't look relatively close. Like I say, it wasn't great. So turnovers have reared their ugly head again. That's quite worrying. Like I say, the O-line wasn't great. Like I say, Decker was blown up on the end and got a sack. He absolutely just got pads underneath him and just drilled him, didn't he? Like I say, like a lamppost. Like Decker, oof, boy, that was a rough day, and he'll know it. Like I say, they made mincemeat of him, but yeah, it was a rough start, and I was going to be thinking like, oh no, not one of them days. But it was to be, yeah. But yeah, we started off great. And then, like I say, it's a one-score game. Like, nothing has gone our way. And you think, we can shake this off. We've been here before. A lot of the season. Started games kind of cold. Things not going our way. So, yeah, it was frustrating.
If you're going to go and trespass on someone's porch, don't let them come out with a baseball bat and twonk you around the head before you start fighting back. That's what we've done twice against the Bears now. They've come looking for us. We've been stood there on the porch and we've let them hit us first. And the one thing you cannot do with the Chicago's Bears team is let them get in front, because they play down, they play dirty, they play their run game. It's the only way they're effective at playing their game is when they're in front. And twice we've come and let them take double-digit leads over us early. The offense, just stupid penalties, not getting going. The defense, I dread to think how many times the Bears have come out and scored opening drive touchdowns on us. Now, they do it all the time. We can't adjust. We seem bemused by Luke Getsy and his offensive genius, and it's really concerning for a team that prides itself on fighting hard and being that deep down gritty team. You got to be gritty for 60 minutes, not come out and be as flat as we were on that. And it was really, really disappointing. You thought they'd learned from last time, and they didn't. I mean, when it comes to the pick, I feel now Dan, after a shaky start as a play caller, making these decisions, he's leveled out to be a very good play caller situationally, when to go for points, when to not go for points. I think now we're getting very close to the NFC North. He's turned back to he wants to do this emphatically. Like, he's going full aggressive on calls again, not really taking points when maybe he should just to start the year. I wasn't enamored with going for that 4th down. I think in that situation, take some points, get on the board, get the board moving, because the longer that zero's on there, the more pressure builds up. And I think he's just overcompensating because we're getting close to really doing some good stuff. And I think he's just allowing that to cloud him a bit. So I was disappointed with that. And we just gave them all the momentum. But what I will say, after that pick, you were very right. Jalen Johnson had the ball forced out. Who forced it out? J-Mo, all the way into the end zone to try and make his pass, sprints all the way back down the field to punch that thing out and try and get the ball back. I am now getting very pissed with J-Mo's usage. You earn your stripes here on this team, and you earn your reps, and no one is working harder than him right now. Like, to do all the dirty work on this team, to do the blocking, to putting that extra effort to get that ball punched out. He is putting in work and he is putting in effort, and he is not getting the targets, and that is now starting to piss me off. At first, yeah, you got to earn your stripes. He's earned his stripes. Give him the ball. Design some plays for him. Why are we not using him in motion? We saw it last week. We started to get him into games, and then we're like, nah, you know what? We're not going to do it. Well, that man's earned his stripes, and you start using him. Really, really, really annoying me now.
Anyone else?
Well,
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so I don't want to labor this point. For the first two drives, I think it was a good summary of kind of what we were talking about earlier. The first drive, it looked like we had Fields wrapped up, collapsed the pocket. He gets out and makes a play. There's a few kind of poor execution pieces. And in general, it was a pretty good first drive. I mean, offensive coordinators are going to draw up 15 plays to start a game. They executed them pretty well. They scored. And everyone, but again, I say everyone, every kind of angry social media fan said kind of, it's a disaster, fire everyone, we're awful. And then the Lions had their possession and we didn't convert on 3rd and 10 and Taylor Deck gets run over and we're like, offense is awful, fire everyone as well. Well, not fire everyone, but the reality is it came down to a couple of execution plays. We mentioned the tripping on Glasgow. It's pretty hard to get a first down when you're 2nd and 21. These things happen. It's poor execution, but it is what it is. Defense again on that first drive, some execution things, but actually it was a pretty good drive, I thought, and especially that touchdown play I thought was delicious, to be perfectly honest. So look, these things happen. Massive overreactions from everyone, to be honest. I think sometimes like Justin Fields, and I'm going to get eyebrows raised from this, I think he's an underrated athlete. I think because he tears up the Lions, we get so frustrated with the fact that you could make an argument he's the best athlete to ever play the quarterback position. Like, you're not really going to convince me Mike Vick was a better athlete than Justin Fields. He's built like a brick shithouse. So when people run off, fall off tackles, it's frustrating, but you kind of get it when he's built like a linebacker and he runs a 4-3, right? So I guess it's a very roundabout way of saying the whole day, really, it was a lot of execution issues. And there are definitely some deeper set issues than that, which I think we touched on earlier in the pod. But like, these things happen in games, let alone in weeks of the season and in quarters of the season and in full seasons, where you do have drives where you commit a penalty and you don't convert as a result. And you do have drives where you miss a tackle and you kind of give up touchdowns and things like that. So it just in general felt like big overreactions everywhere. Now on the 4th down, I don't think I had a strong view either way, to be perfectly honest. What I would say is I think we saw a little bit later, Riley Patterson is a bit of a mess right now. We knew we couldn't kick that. If you convert that 1 out of every 5 times, your expected points is probably 1 + 1, something like that, on the assumption that you're not always going to score a touchdown, you might score a field goal. If you punt the ball back, I don't believe that additional 15 yards of field position or whatever is going to deliver that +1 points and make it harder for them to score. So it is what it is. I think you live and die by the sword. That's how the Lions have always gone. So I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. I don't think it was egregious either way. Yeah.
But I mean, if you're talking about +1 point, Riley Patterson only has to hit from 52 about 33% of the time to equal that. And I think he's probably a better kicker than that. And a botched snap on a PAT, which we'll come on to in a bit, doesn't mean he's a terrible kicker. He was hitting them from 55 into the wind in practice, and I realise that's not in game, and I realise they don't trust him. And maybe they don't trust the long snapper as well. I don't know. But I kind of feel like if you only need to hit 33%, and that's your break-even point, take the easier play. 33% higher than 20.
I mean that's fair. Obviously if you miss that kick, then they are getting the ball at whatever the snap is, right? So
yeah,
like then you do have that field position piece as well. I would agree, but I think that I don't think the team even necessarily has that faith in him making 1 out of 3. What I can't speak to, and that's purely because I don't know the physics behind it. I'm taking this from golf, but the colder it is, the ball isn't going to travel as far. So we've got a guy who can't kick from 50 yards in steel conditions in a dome. let alone a little bit of wind. I actually don't know which direction it was going on for that kick specifically, but it's going to be harder to kick on a grass field outdoors in cold conditions with a guy who hasn't shown he can hit 50 yards or over 50 yards anyway. So I kind of understand it either way.
Yeah.
I saw some people lose their mind about it, and I saw some people say, no, you should absolutely go for it. It just wasn't one of those plays either way.
Yeah.
It was in the grand scheme of things, I don't think it had as greater impact on the game as some people seem to be making out.
Steve and Ash, let me take you through to the half, and then I'll throw it to you for a kind of overview on the total first half. So we had where were we actually at here? We were at third drive. So Bears' third drive, Fields with a lovely throw to Komet for 41 yards on a zone beater. Starts in line on the right-hand side, goes deep out through to the left-hand side. End up in 3rd and 2 at the Detroit 40. Fields with a quarterback run for 1 yard. And then on 4th and 1, a weird toss play to DJ Moore, a counter toss with all the offensive line going the other way. Lions not fooled. Melifonwu with a huge tackle for a loss to turnover on downs. Lions on the third drive then pick up some steam. 3rd and 3, false start on Jonah Jackson. So kind of running theme here, unfortunately, there. But 3rd and 8, Amon-Ra St. Brown wide receiver screen with Saul out in front of him was quite a nice wrinkle. Ended up only getting 5 yards there. So we're back to and 3, but this time it's 4th down. And maybe the throw of the game with Jared Goff to Donovan Peoples-Jones kind of threading it through 4 defenders. It was fantastic. And DPJ has kind of looked all at sea receiving and running routes to this point, but that was a really good play by him. JMO then had an end around, which he took for 4. Amon-Ra took a pop pass for about 5.5 yards, left it 3rd and inches, and then we threw a counter toss play of our own. Only this time Jahmyr Gibbs had totally wide open field and ran in for a 12-yard score. PAT was no good. I'll let the guys talk more about how I'm totally long about long snappers in just a second. Only his 2nd miss of the season at extra points. That makes it 10-6 in favour of Chicago. Bears' 4th drive. Fields has a quarterback keeper. Kaminsky levels him. Hutchin and Commission have a joint kind of sack. I feel like it should be equally attributed, but it was given to Hutch. And then Hutch in Fields' face forces a throwaway just over his hands, but that easily could have been a sack or worse for Fields. If that gets deflected up by Hutchinson's hands, it could be a pick 6. So nice drive generally by the Lions on defense there, and then they get the ball back after all of that, after they punt. 5:15 to go, and they run a beautiful 4-minute offense. Gibbs, great jump cut to avoid a tackle for a loss for 4 yards to start the drive. Amazing catch by Brock Wright for 4 yards, where it looked like it was slipping out of his hands, and he manages to snag it under heavy pressure. 3rd and 2, nice catch over the middle by Sam Laporta for 10. Nice move again by Jahmyr Gibbs with a jump cut. Looked like he might go for no gain, ends up getting 4. 3rd and 3, handoff to Gibbs, and somehow through 3 guys, he got 3 yards. And then on 3rd and 4, we run a running back screen to Gibbs, and he span moved twice down the near sideline to get away from guys to get the 3rd and 4. And then straight after that, we have Goff to Khalif Raymond for 5, and then a slant to Josh Reynolds in the end zone for 8. Touchdown Lions. PAT this time's good. Lions up 13-10. With 5:15 to go, we end up burning all their timeouts, and there's 25 seconds on the clock. So they've managed to do this a lot at the end of halves, where they manage to bleed clock and make sure it's the last possession. And the Bears try. Fields deep to Mooney. Really nice pass break up by Jerry. And then Fields sacked by Kamish again. That's your half. Lions up by 3. Lions very much owns that second quarter. Steve, it was hard not to feel positive coming out of that. I know that the Bears scored points at a rate of knots, but it was all Lions in the second quarter.
And, this is, I would imagine, why a lot of people are frustrated, because, in the second quarter, we played some really, really good Lions football. Complementary football, both sides of the ball doing their job. We had some pressure. Hutch, Kamish, both looked dangerous. We were bottling up Fields. So it shows we can do it. But, I think the Cole Komet one, I think going back to, I can't remember if it was Tom or Ryan, that Cole Komet throw would never have been made with CJ on the field, because he's that communicator that makes sure that when a tight end drifts, in between the linebacker and the safety, that someone is on it. And Komet was just in acres of space. Like there was no one anywhere near him, and no one picked him up, and everyone was just. I watched it back again today, and everyone's just stood there looking at each other, and it's that where you feel that CJ on the field, he would be screaming at people, and I don't think that catch would have been made. But the offense was kind of purring. Gibbs was looking good. The blocking was pretty good. And at this point, because what we know about Goff is that when things are pretty near perfect, Goff's a great QB. When he's under pressure, things unravel very quickly. And we had this nice little window of like 10, 15 minutes where we were kind of protected him well. So that's the frustrating thing. We can do it, and we played 10 or 12 minutes of really nice football, and kind of showed that the Bears are not that good, because we did kind of like carve through them and forced had a couple of big stops.
Ash, first half.
Yeah, so speaking about that Komet play, I know Matt obviously heard me say this yesterday, but yeah, that just pissed me off because I put in the preview, Komet, when you play zone against him, he's really damn good because he can find those holes and will just drift between them and find the spot and sit down in them. You play man against him, you put someone close to him up his grill, and he really drops off. He's like, I think his PFF grade drops by like 20 points in terms of receiving when you're playing man against him compared to zone. So that just really upset me. But at the same time, that second quarter, it was looking good. Like Matt could probably testify for us. At the end of that first quarter, I was already at the cliff of despair. Just like, oh God, here we go again. And they just pulled me back in by playing the good football. Everything looked kind of okay. Yet sometimes things didn't go as well as we were planning, but for the most part, it looks okay. And I was like, okay, yeah, the Bears have had their scripted drives. Defense came out and played some good stuff against us in the first quarter, but for now, we've worked out, okay, this is how we're adjusting. We've made those adjustments early rather than wait till the half. We've gone, okay, we need to do this, this, and this, and it's worked. And then went in at half time, and it just seems like they just sat there and twiddled their thumbs while the Bears then made adjustments of their own, and it just went all downhill from there.
Any other thoughts on that second quarter, boys?
Yeah, great. Only problem is if airline only landed 15 out of 60 planes, you'd lose your pilot's license, wouldn't it? It was the only good quarter of football we played. So in the words of Porky Pig, that was all, folks. Because that's all that is the only quarter of offense we mustered. And that was what's frustrating. We saw everything we wanted to see. We saw Goff in relaxed and in rhythm. Goff is a rhythm quarterback, like you say. It just takes one penalty or one bad player, and it can wreck his drive. Like I say, it just when he's laser focused in tunnel vision, he's one of the best in the league. And for 12 minutes, we basically saw it. And defense, what were the Bears doing on that 4th and 1? A quarterback is like 6'5", and they don't sneak Justin Fields. They go with a stupid toss. That was weird. That was an odd play, I thought. Like say that. So yeah, but yeah, if he makes a great play, we get the ball. Like say that 4-minute drive. Jameer Gibbs was like just stupid on that last drive when I say spin moves, jump cuts, stiff arms. He just went all Madden. He just making guys look stupid. Like I say, and it was just brilliant. Like I say, that was everything I wanted to see. It's so weird that we're 9-4, but there's just times where it's back to the Stafford days where the offense has to play perfect. It has to play perfect or things don't go right because the defense is struggling. But yeah, I was going in the half. I think we've not played well. We've shot ourselves in the foot time after time. We've missed tackles. We've made boneheaded plays. Somehow, we're in the lead. And if you offer me that 9 to 10 times out of 10, I'll take it. Like you say, but then I remember, oh wait, it's the half. And we're absolutely fucking miserable in the third quarter. I saw a post on Twitter of all the third quarter opening drives. Honestly, I wanted to kill myself. On Netflix, when Hannah said 13 reasons why, like I said that's why she took her own life. I thought Well, this tweet, like I say, that could have been synopsis of that whole Netflix show because it was painful, and it was also 13 games. Wow, that just worked really well. Like I say, it was like punt, turnover downs, fumble, first play. There was one touchdown in our first possession in the third quarter in 13 games. But I just thought this. I thought, I don't know what's going to happen in the third quarter, so I'm going to save this second quarter, and I'm just going to hold on to that memory like Vince McMahon when he just goes.
You know what? I've got a working theory behind this because I saw that drive chart and I'm there thinking, well, we took an Iowa tight end in the first round of the draft, and our third quarter performance has been like an Iowa game drive. Like that is what you get from an Iowa game. Punt, turnover on downs, fumble. You'll get one touchdown because one team will just be really bad and unlucky against them. But it's like, oh man, that reads like an Iowa game chart. Like, it's that bad. But that first half is summed up in like 4 words: Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. That is literally you get the bad version in the first quarter, you get the really good version in the second quarter, and there's no sort of in between where you can be just good on both sides of the ball and win games.
If I'm going back to Cole Kmet as well,
I hate him.
Is going to be what Kyle Rudolph was for the Vikings. He tortured us his whole career. I hated playing Kyle Rudolph. Cole Kmet is going to be our next big nemesis. And I tell you what, he's the next star tight end in the league.
I hope someone burns his turkey for Christmas.
I think he's brilliant. I think Cole Kmet is... Don't upset me. I think he's the second best tight end in the NFC North. And I don't have Sam first, so that's how I currently feel.
Okay. I'm going to petition you to make all of your references Looney Tunes, by the way, because I feel like the Bears turning around at half-time and saying to the Lions, I tore a putty cat, kind of works. Sorry. Any other thoughts on the first half?
Wouldn't it be cardiac cat, not pussy cat? That's what they are for us.
All right, let's move on with the second half then. Meep. So Lions come out the half with the ball up by 3, and Goff comes out with a play-action pass. First play almost gets picked. Not the best throw in the world. 3rd and 6, we get blitzed. It's really well picked up by Monty. I thought he had a fantastic day in pass protection, actually underrated. He picked up a lot of blitzes by himself. Goff sees J-Mo streaking clear over the top and just underthrows him. J-Mo can't locate it, but even if he did, he wasn't catching it. And it's going for a touchdown if he actually gets the air right on that throw. So that's a real shame. End up punting there. Bears' 6th drive. Throw to Mooney for 16. How holding wasn't called here, I'm not sure, because the arms up here to chop Hutchinson. I mean, I know we go on week to week about Hutchinson not getting some of the holes called, but that was not great. Herbert run and a huge hit by Alex Anzalone on Khalil Herbert. I mean, I was surprised that Herbert wasn't going off injured after that one. You heard the thwack. Fields then with an easy throw to Velus Jones Jr., a big cushion given. It was like 3rd down and 2, and we gave him 8 yards. And like, what are you doing? Nice tackle by Alex Anzalone on DJ Moore. But then on 3rd and 8, you put DJ Moore one-on-one versus Jerry Jacobs, and he just runs a quick out for 9 yards, not getting there. Did exactly the same play in exactly the same situation 3 weeks ago. Really, really frustrating. What else do we have? Jerry DPI versus Jones Jr., only a 4-yarder, but he did get there early, which was a shame. And then I think Tyler Scott, maybe his only reception of the game. Tyler Scott's only reception of the game. And it went for 11 yards all the way down to the Detroit 7. Thought he looked really good, just didn't get any opportunities with the ball. Nice run play by Jerry and Barnes to stop Herbert on 1st down. Then a PBU by Kirby in the end zone against DJ Moore. And then on 3rd and goal from the 7, Fields hit really hard by Benito Jones and having to throw the ball out the end zone to avoid the sack. Field goal's good from 25 yards. We go in, tie ball game. Lions again have the ball. Saul now full starts. Not fantastic. Goff play action pass almost picked by Brisker this time. Now, I don't think there's any prospect of that one getting picked, but he got a good hand to it. Goff then a poor throw to Amon-Ra St. Brown, could never really get caught. And then on 3rd and 15, checks it down short to Jameer Gibbs, who can't do any magic, gets 12, but we've got a punt. And then Trent Taylor almost returns it all the way back, only bailed out by Jack Fox tripping him with it by his ankle. 31-yard return, though. Then on the Bears' 7th possession, holding on Lucas Patrick on Levi Onwuzurike, who actually had an underrated day rushing the passer. 3rd and 9, pass blocked by Jalen Reeves-Maybin. They're forced to punt. Lions get the ball back, run for no gain, tackle for a loss, 3rd and 1 incomplete. We give the ball back to them straight away, which is a real shame. Bears' 8th possession, and here's where they start to pull away. 3rd and 4, great throw to Cole Kmet. And Anzalone's in perfect coverage here. Really, really tight, not unlike the Sam Laporta catch in the first quarter, but just a great throw and a great catch. Challenged by Detroit, but the call was upheld. You can see why, because it wasn't really caught, but it never hit the ground, so, and it's not out of bounds either, so it's a catch. And then a throw under pressure by Fields, called incomplete on the field. It wasn't a sack, knee was still up, hit an offensive lineman in the leg, not called for grounding. It clearly is grounding. They call on the field that the hit affected the throw, but as Jeremy Reinsman on Pride of Detroit has rightly pointed out, that rule doesn't apply in that situation, so the officials just botched the call. So they get a chance on 4th and 13. Ant says they're not going to run a play. If they don't, it's a fantastic heads-up play by the centre who knows exactly what he's looking for to get someone to jump. Don't really know if they're going to run a play there, but it's not like they're trying to get 5 yards out of him or anything. I know that Dan's obviously really pissed off about the non-call for grounding, but I bet he's also annoyed that he weren't called for encroachment rather than anything else, but I guess he wasn't unimpeded to the quarterback either. But gets Hutch to jump, and Moore just tortures Jerry, 37-yard touchdown. PAT is blocked by Romeo Okwara, returned by Benito to about halfway, but couldn't get any further. Makes it 19-13, and I'll stop there. Boys, it was a dire third quarter, basically for both teams up until that late touchdown, and even then, Lions defended well, and then Hutch just has a brain fart moment, and we're down by 6.
Yeah, to speak on the sort of jump outside, Fields did say in the post-game presser that they weren't going to do anything. They were trying to get us to jump offside, and we fell for it, which is great. But yeah,
4th and 13. 4th and 13, and you got Getz as your play caller. You were not calling a play, like
exactly,
just not at all. To borrow another,
right? We knew what were coming. We knew we'd come out cold. Like you say, Goff almost throws 2 interceptions. Some of the balls are coming out, the timing's off, they're wobbly. He's had too much Earl Grey at halftime or a Bovril, and he's just too cozy. Like there's no zip on the balls. Like you say, and then
I think Goff needs a Bovril. I'd like to see Goff with a Bovril. I think that might perk him up a bit.
Every drive, like you say, we're in like 3rd and long. Like you say, and like it's check downs. We're giving Gibbs the ball and we're saying, like, Gibbs, do us a favour, go beat like every defender and get like those 11 yards back. I know you're magic, but I mean, come on. Like give the guy a break, like you say, because through the air it wasn't good. But this is where I lean into the defense. Like I say, for a long part of that third quarter, kept giving the ball back to the offense. Like I say, pass breakups, like I say, run stuffs, like I say, penalties. Like I say, the Bears have come out and they look just as bad as us. And that's rare that teams come out and look just as bad as us in the third quarter. But the offense continues to stall, bad plays, poor execution. And eventually Chicago, they get it together. And it was going to happen. Like I said, the defense has given 2 free drives. They've almost returned a punt. Like I said, Jack Fox saves it. And ultimately, like I said, luckily, like, we were never in a position to win the game and we didn't need that timeout. I never saw the challenge. Like, I'd never thought that was never going to be overturned. I thought he trapped the ball, went down there. I thought someone upstairs might have said otherwise, but he didn't. Luckily it hurt us. But yeah, I say, should have been grounding. I'm going to give equal blame to Aiden and Jerry. I know Aiden came out of the game after and he looked like he'd been bawling his eyes out. Then he looked like he had tears in his eyes, like, I'm sorry I jumped. shouldn't have jumped. Jerry shouldn't have just let get breezed by. But also, there was no one over the top to help him. There was just no security blanket. So it was a disaster. And like I said, they were prime opportunists. Like I say, as soon as they see that jump, like I say, they just go after our weak link, as Jerry is seen by a lot of teams. A lot of teams do pick on him. Like I say, that can't be helped. You've got to put guys in positions where you give them a little bit of protection. And yeah, extra point blocked. I mean, it's in Benito's hands, so it was never going to go that far, were it? Like I say, it was kind of like a Citroen Picasso rumbling downfield. Like I said, like a Seat, big but agile. Yeah, he was never going to really return that one, was it? But yeah, at that point, I said, game over. Defense, they're tired. They've given up the big play. They've had 2 or 3 times to give the ball back to Goff. It didn't look great. And we've gone away from the run, or we're struggling with it. And I just think, yeah, like we've blown it. Like I say, we've come out and we've seen the same things repeating itself. Slow starts, shooting ourselves in the foot. And we've let Bears like a lead. The Bears now had to defend a lead. They don't want to play from behind. They want to play on the front foot. We've given them the front foot and we've given them all the motivation they now need. Because like I said, the offense has kind of fallen apart. And it kind of felt like the fat lady was about to start gargling the salt water. She was warming up.
To coin more Looney Tunes phrases, the offense took the wrong turn at Albuquerque and went in the wrong direction towards the wrong end zone. That's what they did in the third quarter. They just didn't go in the right direction. And again, I'm going to come back to JMO. When you're not using JMO, you don't present a deep threat downfield. When you don't present a deep threat downfield, what do defenses like the Bears love to do? They love to stuff the box against your run game, and they'll bring their DBs up to cover in the short, intermediate passing game. And the Bears defense thrives on that. They thrive on being able to be aggressive, bring these guys up and stop us playing. And because you're not targeting JMO, because you're not even attempting to get him involved in the game, they don't for a second believe you pose a threat downfield. And that's what happened with all our drives. We tried to run the ball on 1st and 2nd down. We tried to pass the ball on 1st and 2nd down. We tried all sorts of varieties of combos to get our drives going. And the Bears, for 1 second, didn't respect our offense because we didn't even try and make them spread out. And that's where the issue is. Too many 3-and-outs, putting our below average defense on the field and gassing them out, as Ryan said, to a point where they just can't keep making stops. They are a good enough defense to make stops for a high scoring offense to give you good margins of victory. They can't keep bailing you out when your point's down. And it all comes down to the scheming. Like, you've got to take deep shots downfield and you've got to use your playmakers and you've got to spread them out because the Bears excel. We played right into their hands. We gave them no reason to not keep their safeties and corners deep. We gave them no reason, to believe that we could do anything different. That is what happened. And no amount of good play calling in the world will overcome that because they don't respect our deep threat, because our deep threat is not been allowed to do what he's meant to do.
Our offense was like it was like an under 11 football team, where like an under 11 football team they just play like either side of the centre circle and everyone's like bunching and like the PE teachers going like nuts, going spread out. Well, that's what our offense is like. Everyone's on top of each other and it's easy for the Bears to cover. And we've seen progress from Jameson. And as Ant rightly points out, the guy has been doing everything he can other than catch a ball because he's not getting the targets. But in terms of blocks and the effort he's putting in, and we've really seen him progress. And he's made a couple of really big catches. But, he gets, how many snaps does he get? He gets...
You got about 60% this game.
58% of snaps. And, and this is like a young player, but you want to see them developing. On defense, Brian Branch only got 52% of snaps. Why? We want to see these players developing and being given more responsibility, not less.
No. And you've got a plethora of attacking talent to you. When you use them all, defenses have to respect everybody. And when you're not using them, they don't respect you. It's great because, again, I had no problems with the play call selections. They were trying everything. They were trying all manner of things to try and work it up. But again, you're just playing right into Eberflus's hands by just completely neglecting him. And that's what's disappointing, because you've got the momentum before the half. Come out, be brave, take some shots, screw the knife into them, because at this point, they look like they're done. They're shook. They can't deal with us. And then you just kind of go really tame and let them back in. That's the unforgivable part of this. Like, just be brave and use the guy.
Yeah. In that third quarter, David Montgomery played one snap. Like, what's up with that?
And he was the better guy in terms of getting the hard yards in this one. Like, he ran angry when he was. And, yeah, I just don't get it. Don't get it.
Anyway, after that point, the Lions are 6 points down with 1:36 to go in the third quarter. So it very much is still in the Lions' hands to do something here. And they go Gibbs run for 6, and then snap fumbled Chicago ball by TJ Edwards, which really was the dagger in the heart, I think, of this game. Bears do capitalise too, starting at R29. Fields under pressure from Hutch. Shovel past to Mercedes Lewis. They know they're sticking it to you when they can get away with that. Fields with a lovely throw over the shoulder on the far line, starting to Foreman for 16. Fields then misses Kmet for an open touchdown on the far side of the field as he goes into the fourth quarter. Moore with a wide receiver screen, but a really nice tackle for loss by Kindle Vildor. Third down and goal from the 11, and Fields roll out run for a touchdown on the near sideline. 2-point attempt was no good. Throw to DJ Moore. Moore's wide open, but because Commission Anzalone get through their line, forcing Fields to roll out, and he can't actually find him. So good pressure actually ended up saving us 2 there. That's 25-13 for the Bears. Lions' ninth drive, throw behind the line to Gibbs, tackle for a loss by Edmonds. Those short passes just weren't getting it done, unfortunately. 3rd and 10 to Josh Reynolds at the sticks, caught it, but came back because momentum was taking him towards the ball. 4th and 1, tackle for a loss on Gibbs, turnover on downs. Bears, 3rd and 6, great pitching catch to Moore versus Kindle Vildor. Play action pass to Moore. Then on 3rd down and 2 in the red zone, missed Darnell Mooney, and you could see it on Fields' face that he wanted that one back. 28-yard field goal was good. So that was the end of the point scoring at 28-13. Lions put together a nice drive next. Lots of run plays for chunk yards, about 8 minutes to go. Running the ball a lot, but getting lots of yards, so it's okay. Pass to Amon-Ra St. Brown. Great pass breakup by Jaquan Brisker. I mean, just punches the ball out as soon as it gets there. I don't think Amon-Ra did anything wrong on that play. It's just good defense. 3rd down and 10. Check down to Monty to get the first. 2nd down and 5. False start on our seeker. It feels like they've all had one at least at this point. Goff then sacked by a combination of Dexter and Sweat. Goff with a great throw to Amon-Ra St. Brown. Broken up by Brisker again and again. I think it's a great play by Brisker. I don't think Amon-Ra does anything wrong on that one. And then 4th down and 17. Throw again to Amon-Ra St. Brown. And it's a bit short. And Amon-Ra kind of slips a tiny bit. But he gets there. But he drops it, unfortunately. So the Bears turn us over on downs. They miss a deep throw. Big time. That Fields way out there. Could have been picked. Should have potentially had someone in that area, but it just wasn't. 3rd down and 8. Holding on right. Fields slides short of the line to gain. It would have been 4th down and 2, but we accept the penalty. Makes it 3rd down and 18. They end up running the ball for 6 yards to keep the clock rolling and end up punting it away. Lions with hope extinguishing fast. About 3.5, 4 minutes to go now. Goff deep left to Josh Reynolds. Amazing snag against Jaquan Brisker. I mean, if all the other throws I said that Goff did was good, that might have been the best one actually, but it's too late to be honest. That was for 27 yards, but then Goff sacked by a combination of Sweat and Jones, and then sacked again by Jones, and then in desperation time, 4th and forever, interception by Terrell Edmonds, and then the Bears get 2 rushes for a 1st down, kneel downs, and that's ball game. Boys, we had opportunities in the end of that. It starts with the snap being fumbled, and for me, I think that's almost game. But even then, with 8 minutes to go, we put a drive together and shoot ourselves in the foot with stupid penalties, and the offensive line just falling to shit. And it's just the most frustrating thing, because in those sort of situations we have pulled ourselves out, but this was just one step too far.
It felt like that was probably, or maybe, the worst half of football we played all year. Because it's easy to look back on the Ravens game and obviously the score, but the Ravens were humming, right? They were playing seriously good football and we couldn't stop them. The Bears were pretty much just existing during this half. And that's not a shot at them. I thought they played a nice game overall, but they weren't setting the world on fire for the third quarter or the fourth quarter, really. We just continued to shoot ourselves in the foot. And it was just really frustrating. Now, you're exactly right. There's been a number of times this year where we have actually managed to pull ourselves out of that in some way, shape, or form, and you just can't rely on that. I do wonder, and maybe we'll talk about this a little bit more at the end. So Jared Goff, I think, has the memory of an elephant in that he is a confidence player when it comes to individual throws within games. But I think now we've had enough weeks back to back where he has been hit, and I do think it's on his mind. And I think that comes all the way back to why isn't JMO getting more targets and all these other things. I just think he's starting to regress a little in terms of not just the outcome of throwing the picks and the fumbles, etc., which are all very visible, but just not making the same throws or not trusting himself to make the same throws. We still get those few throws a game, like you mentioned, the DPJ one earlier, and there were some really nice throws in here. The one to Amon-Ra you mentioned, like hell of a play by Briscoe. It was a great throw as well. But there's just a lot of nothing at the same time, and a lot of times where it feels like he's more nervous to pull the trigger on some of these throws. So I think that's probably the biggest thing on the offense, which is my biggest concern going into this point forward, because I'm not sure Goff can get his confidence back, even though we've got 4 weeks left or 4 games left or whatever. I think it takes more than just one great performance for him to get back into the flow we saw earlier in the season, where he was absolutely incredible. So yeah, I think my biggest takeaway from this half was like poor execution from players, poor play calling on both sides of the ball. Everything was bad. But my longer term concern, I think I'm worried about Goff getting his swag back by the time we get to the playoffs.
If I'm completely honest, like Goff, yeah, is an issue, but for me, it's the 5 men in front of him. Like I say, they have shown now for what, best part of a month, they ain't protecting him. He has been pummeled in recent weeks. And I genuinely think, like I said, that is also, he's trying to second guess, will one of them get through? Like I say, he hasn't lost it, but I feel like right now he's second guessing his offensive line. Because last few weeks, they've been terrible. Sacks, penalties, missed assignments, and all of them, none of the blame, like I say, all 6, 7 of them have been played. They've all at some point been terrible. And some weeks, like I say, they've collectively been bad. And this was a week where they were all pretty bad. And this team is predicated on its offensive line. Like I say, the offense, like I say, starts of it, it also ends of it. Like I say, it's really frustrating, like, to have on paper like this top 3 offensive line, and we know how good it can be. It just feels like we very rarely have seen the potential of it, and we've got to have Frank. Like I say, it feels like he's the linchpin that kind of holds it together. He's the marmalade in between, like I say, Paddington's 2 slices of bread. Like it's important. Like I said, and I love Graham Glasgow. Like I said, I tried to on Twitter. Like I said, he's probably the best free agent signing we made this year because he's been absolutely crucial. But like I said, he's better at guard at centre. And right now we're having to make these shuffles, and it's playing, like I say, on Goff's mind. Goff is, like I say, there's players where he has been wide open and defenceless and pummeled, and it just feels like it's something lately we've not been able to overcome. And we did not threaten a comeback in this game whatsoever. Like I said, we stunned the Bears 3 weeks ago, and that will have stung them. Like I said, at no point at the end of that third, start of this fourth quarter, did they ever think they're going to do it again. They know we didn't. They know we couldn't. we didn't threaten it. We didn't look like we had it in us. I never was convinced of it. I never thought at any point we'll come back. We did it again. So I was like, that fumble, game over. I considered turning over, like they're just going to go through the motions. And as Tom's right, the Bears just went through the motions for most of that second half. And in the end, they managed to pull away and subdue us. And yeah, these things, they're going to take a couple of weeks to fix. Like it's potentially, like say, health-wise and getting the continuity of the line back together. Well, they've got a few weeks left. So is it good or bad we're playing on a short week? Honestly, I think it's good. I think that we need to forget yesterday's gone and just get him straight back into it. Dan Campbell says this week he's going to be irritable. He's going to be a pain. He's going to be mad. I hope some guys need to get chewed out. No more Mr. Nice Guy this week. Like I say, so you got to lay into some of these dudes, and these backup, like I say, these guards need to know, and the backup tackles, they need to know. You're going to step into this like top 3 O-line in the league. Like there's no weak link. You've got to play like one of them, like I say, and Goff has to know, like he's got to be able to step up into those confidence, those throws. Like I said, Laporte throw at the start of the game, the middle of the DPJ, and then Josh Reynolds right at the end. Like I said, 3 fantastic throws, but a lot of nothingness, as Tom said, in between. A lot of shaky throws, a lot of throws that were at the feet, to the body, behind, kind of just off there, but catchable. We've seen those last few weeks, so yeah, for me, like the O-line, it's got to sort its shit out. Cut out the fucking penalties and get on board with each other and keep him upright. Because, like I said, we're turning the ball over, and this defense, it will bend so long, but it will break eventually. You cannot keep giving the ball away.
I am so using that in one of my scouting write-ups this year. He is the marmalade in Paddington Bear's sandwich on this offensive line, whilst he has the mentality of Scrooge because he gives away no presents, no pressures. I'm going to do something like that. You've inspired me there, Ryan. But you know, the guys have kind of summed this up quite perfectly. We didn't come to the party, and some of the play calls. If I ever see a 4th and 1 again in our own half where we line up in the I formation, I am going to crowbar somebody. We have Jameson Williams, who can run faster than Superman. We have David Montgomery, who is like a bulldozer who you can't stop. And you're lining up all the way back in the eye for a 4th and 1. And you know what? That is that is unforgivable. I fucking hate that call. I hate everything about it. You need 1 yard, so what you're going to do, you're going to send your running back another 8 or 9. So he needs 10. It's stupid. It was a stupid turnover. It got blown up before. I don't even think, what was he? He was about 5 yards short, 4 or 5 yards short. They just didn't block it well. Why? You've got the weapons to do something far more inventive and creative than that, and you line up in the eye. I hate it. This game was called so poorly. And again, they know what we're going to do. Oh, yeah, you're lined up. You're giving away completely what you're doing. You're selling no threat that you're going to pass it. You're selling no threat that you're not using any motion. You are not using any creative. Oh, they're going to run it up the gut. Let's go blow this girl up. We'll send everybody in, which they did. Like, you could have chipped someone off the edge. You could have used JMO in motion. You could have got it. And that's 13 minutes left and you're a score down at that point. Like, we had opportunities and we made boneheaded decisions. And that was the story of this game. They didn't beat us. We beat ourselves. And that half was... It was a disgrace. Execution, play calling, everything about it sucked. And they deserve to win. And now we got a lot of questions to answer going forward. But yeah, there's some really unforgivable plays in that.
All right, let's. I think we talked about the majority of the themes, but Ryan talked about the offensive line. Is it a long-term problem for the Lions for the rest of the season? Is it something you think they can fix? What do you guys make of it?
I've got no worries that they can sort the offensive line out. That's not in my top 5 problems. But I think the part that we do need to work on is there's 2 ways to keep your quarterback upright. There's a good O-line and there's finding him some targets so he's not holding the ball too long. And if we're not spreading the opponent's defence out and we're not stretching the field, and Goff's taking the snap and looking up at his reads and just seeing traffic, then he's going to get sacked, and no O-line's going to protect him. So, we need to scheme our wide receivers better. We've got some great weapons. Let's use them.
I mean, Hank's bringing so many guys up and making them play well. Like, Coyote's not played much this year at all. I think this is his first start, and like one false start aside, he's played a bit, but one false start aside, very clean game. Played really well, actually, compared to some of his veteran accomplices on the left-hand side of the line. So it was the vets who stunk up the joint in this one. Like, Glasgow with that stupid penalty, Taylor with every sack of the day struggled. But Jonah was all right. As long as the vets get the stuff together, the line's going to be absolutely fine. Like, Hank's brought so many guys up and got them performing well. No worries there at all. Just your big guys let you down in this one.
And it's all relative. I think our line was so good earlier in the year. And again, part of this comes back to Goff as well, sadly, which is it's been a bit of a tough watch the last 4 weeks. But you know what? It's pretty rare you get all 5 guys out every week of the season. We're going to deal with injuries. And kind of don't shout it too loud, but this is probably going to be the best offensive line we have for the next 5 years, 10 years. We're going to have to start paying people soon. It's unlikely we're going to hit on this many guys in the draft again, just being realistic. I think the concern is if this line isn't perfect, and that's not realistic, then there's going to be issues with Goff under pressure. So it's like you need to be the first or second best line in the league, because if you regress to being the 6th or 8th or 10th best, that's going to cause problems. That's not very sustainable. So do I think that the offensive line is one of my main problems? No. It's been a bit of a frustrating watch, I think, recently, but that's life. I think offensive line play is normally frustrating to watch because it's almost like the goalkeeper in soccer, right? It's you only notice them when they're letting in the goals. It's rare that you're actually just sat there watching line play and everything's perfect. And so when you give up sacks, it is frustrating, but it's the same for 31 other teams too. Unfortunately, when you're following the Lions, you don't see as many sacks the other way around as you'd like. So you maybe don't notice it as much, but other teams are panicking the whole time about their O-lines. I'm not hugely concerned. We can still run the ball. We can still win by running the ball, passing the ball. Like, it will be what it will be. So yes, frustrating. I think Decker is a concern. I don't know how banged up he is or what. He obviously has taken a step back. I mean, watching him just get bull rushed into Goff's pocket by Ngakoue is not really what you want to be seeing. But I mean, there's good players in the league. Guys are going to get home eventually, and we've just got to learn to live with it and find other ways to win.
I think Steve might disagree with you there, Tom. Andre Onana is definitely chief clown of the circus for Man United. You notice him all the time.
I mean, I would say, using a Paddington metaphor, that the problem is with our O-line is when someone does get through, like Goff's there with his feet of marmalade, and that's the problem. Like, he's just not going to escape any pressure.
And yet, Goff has been one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL with not turning pressures into sacks. So I don't agree with that at all. Goff has actually been fantastic with the one-step sidestep and getting the ball out. So I think he's been fairly good to this point.
Only if people are open, and people aren't getting open at the moment. And like I said, this is a temporary problem. Like this was a wrinkle, and the offense. I look at the 4 games ahead of us, and I think we will win at least one of those games with like an absolutely barnstorming offense where we blow the doors off someone. Like I said, my worries are all on the defensive side of the ball.
You should just slather him in axle grease. Like, can't hold on to him and sack him if you can't grab him.
You keep your fantasies to yourself.
Oh, Steve, I'll get you there one day, Steve.
And it's not as if there's not ways of scheming around a bad offensive line. Like we've seen it this year with the Dolphins, with the Bengals the past couple of years, with Joey Burrow and their bad offensive line. The Rams the past couple of years. If you don't have a good offensive line, what do? You make moving pockets. And we have seen Goff's not the most mobile guy in the world, of course, but you can maybe move the pocket, get him on the move, do some bootlegs and stuff where you're moving him away from the pressure and scheming stuff up. Like, imagine a play action boot where you've got him throwing to Laporta. Like we see teams play against us every single bloody week. There seems to be one like play action boot where they get a tight end coming out and they get an easy completion to them. There is ways for Ben to scheme this. He should know he's been around a couple of different schemes and there is ways for him to do it. But obviously, I think it's got a time for him to adjust that now. While he knows that Ragnar isn't going to be here this week, probably do it now and implement it because we're going to need it if this offense. I know I have faith in us fixing the offensive line, but you look at how good that Dallas pass rush is, even with Micah Parsons dealing with the flu and he's getting, even their backups are getting like 90 plus pass rush grades from PFF, which I know is not everything, but when they've got such a good pass rush, we need it sorted by then because it could be, we've got Broncos this week. Their pass rush is not as good as it used to be. They've got a good one. Vikings have still got Daniil Hunter, who's good. We're going to need them to step up at this point. I know Frank is a big part of it. Centers always are. But we've dealt with why we learned injuries before. Like, they were held. We had games last season where we were starting Dan Skipper at left guard, and he was doing amazing. There was games where we were starting Logan Stenberg, and he got a 0.0 pass blocking grade, and yet we still looked pretty good. So we've shown it before. Just don't know why it's not happening right now.
Micah Parsons straight up bull rushed 3 guys yesterday on his own and got a sack. Like, I think at this point you'd need a teleporting pocket to get away from him. I think that's just going to be what it was. Though I think he took a running back, a tight end, and a tackle with him and got a sack. It's just like, fuck's sake, he's so good.
I mean, there are several boots that Goff ran in this game, naked boots, where sweat's just in his face. Though, like, I feel like they were trying to do some of that stuff and they were just ready for it. Some of those boots that I see us bite on all the time, especially Hutch, where he's on that side and they're booting to his side of the field. Hutch is biting on the run action because he's so eager to get to the ball. And they know we like doing that sort of thing. So I think it's just defenses being well drilled against us. And I don't really understand why we can't do the reverse. But anyway, we've covered the majority of the other game themes. So it just falls to us to highlight some people one way or the other in a segment we call Cigars and Subpars. So I realise we might be falling on one side of the aisle more than the other, but is there anyone wants to shout out one way or the other?
Give me more a Kindleville Dawn next week and give me a less Jerry Jacobs. I'm not going after Jerry. I'm not going to be mean about him on social media, but Kindle did okay. Was it because he knows the Bears? Okay, maybe. But we'll find out this week. If he plays well again, maybe the guy needs a chance. But yeah, like I said, Jerry's lost all his confidence. And if you just throw him out there for 90 snaps a game, he isn't going to get it back. Like I say, so I think you need to wrap him in cotton wool. From people on social media, like I say, because he's taking some fucking heat, like I say, and also on the field. Just put him a bit of bubble wrap. Like I say, just give Kindle some of the snaps. And like I say, just protect him, like I say right now. Don't hang the kid out there dry. And if you're going to put him out there, like I say, even though I don't trust Kirby as far as I can throw him, giving him protection over the top, at least put him there. At least give him a security blanket so he knows that, okay, if I screw up, at least that guy over there behind me, he's got my back. Because right now, Jerry don't feel like he's got his back. So yeah, give Vildor played okay yesterday. Some good tackles for loss. Some good tackles, like say he was physical for a smaller guy. Yeah, he gets a cigar because he came straight into the team. He was just thrown in.
I want to get this in here early because I know that any special teamers is coming, but JRM does deserve his yeah, well, when they play well in the first team and make impactful plays in the first team, you get my vote there. But his sack was incredibly well timed. Waited for the gap to open up, blitzed perfectly, took Fields' ass down, loved that. The pass breakup was really good as well. You know, he broke up. That was going to the end zone, that thing was. So he made some big impact plays. Built on last week, where he had a lot of good special teams plays, did his work there. He's got some snaps with the first team. He's looking very good. So he does need, you know, keep sending his snap count up. If he keeps playing like that, keep sending his snap count up. That's all I ask with him. If he performs in the first team, great, and he's done a really good job recently.
But for me, it's Jack Campbell. She's now strung 3 good weeks together. I know it's not as explosive as maybe people would want. It's not for the highlight plays, but I mean, against Baltimore, he played 27 snaps where he was on the line of scrimmage. And since then, he hasn't played more than 4. and he's had a PFF grades of 65.1, 62.8, 44 against the Bears, 74.4, 74.4, 65.2. So 5 out of those 6 weeks, he's playing above average on a defense that frankly isn't. And given how he really struggled early in the season, how they were doing all kinds of things with him that just wasn't working in terms of lining him up on the edge, I think it's good to see him have this slightly more consistent run of form.
Gonna go for an offensive guy because I know obviously defense men stood up. Donovan Peoples-Jones. Not very heralded at the trade deadline. Everyone was a bit like, "Oh, we're looking defensive." Like even me, I was like, "Wish it was like a pass rusher or corner." But this game, when he finally got targeted, he made the plays, and when he was run blocking, he was looking pretty damn good. Like I know, obviously, not many people can really hand up their hands on the offense and say, "Yeah, I did a really good job." For him, playing 7 snaps and making a bit of a visible impact on those limited snaps, he's earned a few more looks along, like JMO and Khalif. So I'm all there for DPJ this week.
I thought Laporta played well again, and I thought Brock Wright played well. Brock Wright's lost out on snaps in recent weeks, but he comes in and he always looks competent. And I thought the two of them were played pretty well. But it's just a shame they didn't get more of the ball.
When can we start using the popularization Lagota? Like he's going to get there eventually. He's going to be the GOAT. So
all right,
we've got to change his name.
I'm just going to take my guy before Ash takes my guy. Ifeatu Melifonwu is low-key having a breakout year, and no one's going to talk about it. He has been fantastic, and he came in to replace Tracy Walker. He didn't put a foot wrong all game. I thought he was terrific, and especially in a game where the tackling was poor. I thought he didn't put a foot wrong. He was good in coverage, good in run defense coming downhill. He needs to be getting starter reps. So the games that he has started, which were or played significant reps, Atlanta 76th grade, at Green Bay 68th grade, Chicago just gone 67th grade. In a DB room that looks all at sea. And again, with the Jack Campbell comment, it's another guy in a below-average defense playing above average. We're missing people like that. And his physical makeup is something we don't have in that DB room. Big, tall, physical, speedy. Get him reps.
Can I give a half cigar as well? I want to give a half cigar to Kamish, because Kamish had a really good game yesterday. That is the Kamish we know and love. But he only gets a half cigar because he's waited till week 13, 14 for the first time we've seen last year's Kamish. And we've really missed that Kamish. So really good game, gets you half a cigar, but you've got to start stacking them together now because Aiden needs help. And we got a lot of sacks yesterday. Why? Because we're getting pressure from another edge rusher. It's mind-blowing, these things, but when two guys work together well, it's like, well, you're going to overwhelm some guys, you're going to get some sacks, open up some gaps. So, yeah, half a cigar Kamish. You get full one next week if you do it again.
Well, speaking of an edge rusher who stepped up, why don't we talk about the guy who I know he only played 8 snaps on defense? He was our 5th best defender. And
I thought Matt was going to say this.
Exactly. That's when he saw my face when he didn't say him earlier. I was like, yes, I'm stealing it quickly. I'm giving him a taste of the medicine I've had ever since we started doing this. Romeo Okwara really has stepped up the past couple of weeks. Like, I know, obviously, earlier this season, we're hearing he hasn't been fully up to shape because he's coming off the ACL. He's a bigger guy. He's showing a bit of what we've been missing from him the past couple of years when he got injured. Like, I know Matt, I think it was last week, said he's grading out better than he did in his 10.5 sack season. But for him to not only show out a bit on on defense, with only 3 pass rusher snaps, getting 1 pressure, doing a bit in the run defense grade as well, kind of being okay, like sort of like an edge 4, he's doing great. Then to show out on special teams as well, to get not like an elite 90 grade in that, at least I think it's over 12 points higher than the second best person. He's maybe making an argument to stick around on a 1-year cheap deal as a sort of veteran presence in the edge room who can be there on the some of the special teams like block units and stuff. I'm there for it.
His grades so far in Detroit, year to year from 2018, 64, 60, 69, 73, 56 last year, 78 this year. It's low-key because he's not getting many reps, but he's producing when he's on the field. It's the same argument for Melifonwu, but Melifonwu got reps yesterday. So just put the guys who are producing on the field. I don't think that's a hard thing to ask for, but, you know.
And it's a shame that his brother can only produce against teams that have a Bears logo on him as well.
Yeah.
His brother wasn't actually that bad, but he's still rubbish overall. So,
right,
but
and any subpars anyone wants to shout out?
Harris for not even being able to make the team.
Jake McQuaid.
Not Will, Charles.
Oh,
Okay, fine. I was like that. I know we take a lot of shots at the guy, but that felt
All right, guys.
really
Guys. I know I'm bad. Hey,
it's all Will Harris's fault.
No, out of this entire panel this year, I've been probably one of the easiest on Will because I've deliberately not mentioned his name. So if you've even said one, I know I did the other week, but that was the first negative thing I've said about him in a very long time. Charles was inactivated and not even on this team. You should be able to get on this team when you can't get sacks. Sorry, I will predicate it with. I'll just call him Charles next time, shall I?
Yes.
God,
Harris.
the looks on all your faces. Then I'm pretty sure the other one only got one snap again, and he didn't give away a penalty, so he's getting better.
He was our ninth best defender.
Yeah, he had one snap the other week and gave away a penalty. He had one snap this week, didn't give away a penalty. Well done, Will Harris. Cigar for you. You're getting better.
Oh, God. Anyone else?
I'm just going to say
I'm
that.
hurt, guys. I'm very hurt by that.
Bugs. Like I say, we've heard all these negative things about him. Like I say, gets his chance. Very forgettable. Didn't do anything. Like I say, I can't even warrant having him active again. Just give Broderick mine a go, Quinton Bahana. Like I say, I know he's going to be gone in the off season, but honestly, get rid of him now. Like I say, I'm out on him. Like I say, I'm out on his personality. I'm out on his supposed work ethic. And like I say, tweets a lot, but gets a chance finally after everyone's like, oh, where's Bugs? We're so much better with Bugs. Well, we're not, are we? Because he was shit.
He's Nick Williams 2.0.
Yeah. He tweets a lot. He talks a lot. Don't back it up. So, what's up, Doc? Bye-bye. It's funny.
I don't think he deserves to be put in the bucket with Nick Williams because
I said 2.0. I didn't say he was Nick Williams.
The
but
next
he's going
evolution
down that route.
All right, he's not a dickhead though. He's just a bit of a diva. Nick Williams actively went after fans calling him out.
It's amazing how much diva and dickhead coincide with one another. So it's like the Pokemon evolution. He's evolved one step towards good, but he's still at -9.
Anyone else deserving a call out?
Fox.
Who are you saying?
Fox for his tackle alone.
No. Oh,
wait, we're doing subpars, right?
Subpars. Sorry.
We're doing subpars.
I think there was a couple of obvious ones which we've kind of touched on throughout the thing. A couple maybe slightly less obvious ones. Josh Pascal. It's been a disappointing year in general, but this is the kind of game where I'm expecting his skill set to translate. He's not going to be a guy who gets 15 sacks a season, but what he is going to be is a guy that can set the edge, keep contain, and against a guy like Fields, I'd expect to see a bit more out of it, and he just really hasn't offered much. He's been really inconsistent snap to snap, so he's frustrating, and then maybe a bigger picture one who I'm sure you've talked plenty about, but I know I haven't been on a while, Jay Curb. It has been a rough season, and that only continued obviously yesterday. I think the play we mentioned for the touchdown on 4th and 13, it's a horrible play call for starters. What worries me most, I think, is, and it's really hard to know without being behind the scenes, if this is coaching, if this is leadership. That being said, someone's got to see that and try and check out. And I'm trusting one of my safeties. And to be honest, the senior safety in Jacob versus Iffy, who I know is older, but has obviously played less football and has not been a regular starter. By the time that ball is snapped, he is over towards the numbers on the trip side. And from everything you see, it looks like cover one. he bolts as soon as the ball is snapped to try and get over the top, but he's nowhere near it. So either we need to check out that call, but if you know you need to get to the middle of the field, he needs to make that move earlier. There's just a whole variety of different situations with him where you're just not maybe seeing, I don't know if it's maturity, I don't know if it's smarts or whatever. It's just, I think that's where the conversations we've had today about CJ come back in, is someone who is going to be that Marshall on the back end, because it doesn't feel like that's going to be Kirby's role now in his career, and you're not really seeing the signs he's going to take it forward. So disappointed, and that's only because I was so excited after last year. He played so much better last year than I really expected as a rookie, and I think there's so much talent in there that it's just frustrating to see these kind of weeks get stacked.
Well, that's both my guys. You've gone for, I was going to say with Pascal, he has been looking better the past 3-4 weeks. This was a regression game for him for certain.
Yeah.
Missing one of his 2 tackles, but he has been looking really good the past couple of weeks, moving him inside a bit more when we needed him to. Be a great regression game for him, just because obviously he missed his 1-2 tackles, didn't really flash up. With Kirby, yeah, I think it is more of a scheme thing. So last year, obviously being the number 1 Kirby Joseph fan guy, as we all know, played him a lot in the single high where he's good, trying to give him a bit more on his plate this year by putting him in split safety, making him do more run defense, as I discussed in the YouTube chat earlier, putting him on blitzes at stupid moments like the opening play against Green Bay, and then having to take, as you say, to step up and take that leadership role when he's never really had to do it. Even at Illinois, he wasn't really looked at as that kind of guy. Like, he only played really 1 full season for them. The rest of the time, he was a special teamer. So for him to sort of have to step up and do that for Iffy, because obviously, as we all know before the game, he was Tracy was benched for Iffy. He just doesn't have any skill set because he's never done it, and he's not fully cognizant of this scheme. Like CJGJ is, like a Cam Sutton's supposed to be, like a Jerry is supposed to be. They're supposed to be the veteran guys. Yet it is falling on him a bit to sort of check out that back end, and it's just too much for him when he's still trying to get fully up to speed with the NFL game.
So actually, in a very quick build on that, then another subpar, Dre Bly, because you can watch that game, and you mentioned earlier the soft coverage on, I can't actually remember, was it Tyler Scott who had the completion? I can't remember, but the soft coverage. We've got a nickel blitz there. Iffy is coming down to obviously cover that nickel, to cover that slot receiver. For me, it's got to be coaching, right? Because he's either at too much depth, or you'll see he'll take a read step and then stop. So it could be a really poor play from him, and it might be that he hasn't had enough reps, but these are things I'm expecting the coaches to be on top of. So whether it's giving the guys the confidence to check out things, whether it's their rules, there's so many things. I mean, even the fact, Jerry, if you're playing cover 1, you can't let DJ Moore get an inside release, right? I mean, it's basic kind of coaching stuff that we seem to see on a week in, week out basis. And again, I know my AG thing's a bit of a bit, especially on Discord a lot of the time, but we do give AG a lot of shit. I haven't heard anyone mention Dre Bly, right? And this defensive backfield has really kind of regressed. So
yeah, I don't want to dig into Dre Bly, and Anton Roy can probably back me up here because they have seen a college game as well. More way better than I do. It was shit at UNC. He had a load of talent, and it was fucking dog shit. Like, it was a good hire in terms of personality, and obviously fans used to play here. Obviously, I've got his jersey in my wardrobe and everything. But yeah, it just hasn't worked out this year. And it's kind of the same with Duca, who's obviously our safeties coach. He had to step up last year when we fired Pleasant. He took over the whole secondary. Things improved, but now suddenly all the safeties have just regressed, and it's confusing to see.
So the guy that's responsible for all the defensive coaches is Aaron Glenn. So just a simple question. If the season was to end today, where would you be on Aaron Glenn coming back next year? In or out?
Out.
Yeah.
And that's where, like I said, the AG bit, which I keep running offline, is not defending, not saying that he's the savior of this team, and not even saying he's doing a particularly good job. It's more how quickly we are to just jump on him for things which actually aren't his fault, because you can quite easily pick lots of things that are. And unfortunately, I said this on Dan Pascal previously, I think he might be a better head coach than a defensive coordinator. And I really like him in terms of how he speaks. And naturally, I'm drawn to that style of coach. So there is some bias. But frankly, the results haven't been good enough. And it's as simple as that. Now, do I think we should be firing guys mid-season given where
No,
we are in our journey?
definitely
Absolutely not. And that's what triggers me more, is the kind of ridiculous overreactions. Even if you want him fired in season, which I can understand, it's things which are quite clearly nothing to do with him, and yet he still gets blame. But I really don't see a way you can bring him back unless you see some sign of life, or not even some sign of life, some real positive step forward in the next 4 to 6 weeks. I'm not sure you can bring him back, to be perfectly honest.
I mean, like I say, it's overall the job that's been done there. I mean, look at the positional coaches. Bly's been bad, but Kelvin's been really good. Like, the linebackers have really come on, great in most facets. So, like, he's doing a good job. John Scott, he's doing, what? He's doing a good job because our run defense has been immaculate this year for the most part. Like, it's one of the better ones in the league, which we've struggled with for years. He's made that better. Obviously, the pass rushing is a concern, but I think the position coaches are doing more good than bad. So then it sort of goes to the higher ups as to why overall it's doing so bad. But you've got to wait till the end of the year. Like, this was always, give him year 3. If you can't be mid-tier in the NFL by year 3, then you've got problems, really. And if he's not there, I think that's fair enough.
I don't know,
but not in season.
I don't know where we're going to rank after this game, but last year, per DVOA, we were 10th, weren't we, in the NFL in total defense? Not total defense. In overall defensive DVOA, we were 10th or 11th. I know that seems fucking insane, but it masks basically what was a top 5 unit for the first 5 weeks and then a bottom 25 or worse defense since then. But that's what we're talking about, is the shift from one to the other.
Do you want to take a guess? Because the DVOA website I use is updated for this week.
I would guess 12th.
Hang on.
Also, just to say as well, can't fire him because we also I do want those 2 third-round picks through the minority head coaching program. He is going to get, if someone likes it, if we fire him, we don't get them. So you just have to leave him. And if he doesn't get a head coaching job, then you fire him.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, on that horrible note, I think we've had a few questions, but I'm going to take them off the air because we've been going a while. Unless anyone has a final comment they want to throw in. No. All right. Let's close this out now. College podcast coming this Wednesday. Bowl predictions. You want to check them out, and it's the time to get on the college show if you haven't before for the rest of the season, because the draft's 4.5 months away. It's in Detroit. You want to know who we want to be picking, and we want to know how much shit we can throw at the rest of the NFC North for their terrible picks. So get involved with the boys on Wednesday evening. Denver preview show, I think, is going to be Thursday, with the game being on Saturday night. Ash, are you free on Saturday night?
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
We will be on the call then, in that case, having a good time with the Denver game. Lions return home, needing to bounce back. Join us for that. And please add us on our socials. We're all the Lions UK, YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And the group for Worldwide Fans on Facebook as Detroit Lions Fans UK, one private wide. The website with Ash's preview articles on ROTLUK.com. Don't forget to subscribe and rate us 5 stars and rate and review and all that good stuff. Boys, it's been a pleasure to have so many of you on here, and how many lovely comments we've had in the live chat for all of your opinions and just letting each other speak as well, which is awesome. I think we run a tight ship here, so it's great stuff. To everyone in the live chats, you listening on the audio podcast, appreciate you all very much. Look forward to speaking with you later in the week, but for now, we're still 9-4, guys. Keep your chins up. Let's go, Lions. One pride.
One pride.
Recording stopped.
I don't know if anyone wants to drop, but we've got just a few quick fire questions.
Yeah, I'm going to head off. Good to see you guys.
I'm afraid I need to as well. But
Okay,
I've got 5 minutes.
great to see you guys. That was delightful.
And ditto.
You too, Tom. Cheers, man.
See you soon. Bye.
See you soon. Bye.
I want to ask a quick question of Ryan. And how empty is your soul after watching that Minnesota game yesterday?
Oh, God, yeah.
You utter sicko.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. Only because it left me with the feeling that, Christ,
Things
if
could be
we
worse.
struggle against them.
I suppose you do forget that Ryan watches Iowa football all year, so for Cooper
Yeah.
DeJean. So I guess that was part
Oh.
par.
I mean,
I watched
Ryan.
that game thinking, Josh Dobbs is closer to going back to NASA than he is going to the playoffs. There's no way he's starting next week.
Talking of NASA, Ryan, you must be a fan of D Ream, because I was watching a bit of that game thinking things can only get better. But anyway, good old Dr. Brian Cox. Anyway, could you expect any worse thing than an awful pun by me? Anyway, Mike Marine.
One by me.
Mike Marine says, does the Lions offense go stagnant because of wrong plays at key points, or mistakes or penalties? And I just have to quickly say both.
Yeah, both. Easily.
Penalties force bad decisions. Penalties like tripping 2nd and 20 completely changes the play you're going to call. So yeah, penalties for me are the biggest issue. This team doesn't play off script. Like I say, there's 10 plays he wants to call at 1st and 10. There's only 4 plays he wants to call at 2nd and 20. It's simple maths for me. Like I say, the play call changes. Like I say, the field position just determines what he'll do. So yeah, like that's the biggest thing for me right now.
Got to open the engine up earlier. Like, you've got to get everyone involved and hot early. Get it to all your playmakers. Get them in the game. Get them warmed up. Because then you can do more. Like, we start very conservatively. Look what the Bears did. The Bears threw every trick in the bucket that's on that first drive, revved themselves up, got themselves going, got 10 points on the board. Like, I know they slowed down after, but they started the game as they meant to go on. We didn't. And like I said, we suffered later because they knew what was coming. Because you can't just get to third quarter and be like, all right, we're going to switch it all up and get it all razzle-dazzle and stuff like that because you're just not ready for it. That's why.
Feels like we've not seen a flea flicker in about a month. And that's a very long time for Detroit.
You know what? Yesterday I was thinking, we've not had a fake punt in a while. We've not done that.
Oh yeah, me and Matt were both there like on the 4th down. I was like, no, don't do it.
You know what? I'd sooner they had done a fake punt than that in I formation run. I would have, you know what? I'd have been less angry at that.
See, I know it's, and Matt knows exactly what play I'm about to ask about. A Liam McNeil fullback dive on the goal line, yes or no?
Oh, no. No. Sam Laporta fullback dive worked.
True.
Yeah. Laporta had one of the best runs that day, didn't he? Bless him. Hit the gap. Nothing the GOAT can't do.
You couldn't have sounded more northern if you tried then.
Well, good, because I'm from North.
He had a right good rep then.
I didn't sit here. Don't sit here with my tea and me little finger in the air and
He went up, took gut, and he took first down.
Well, people listen to a British podcast. They should be ready for British accents. So
true. Mike the Marine says you add Houston, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, and Hooker to the 53-man roster before week 18. Who's cut?
Bugs. Nowaski. Antoine Green.
Gilmore,
is a good shout, yeah.
Yeah, they're just not going to play him at this point, are they? You're not going to put him in a high leverage situation in playoff games.
Yeah.
So.
If they were going to cut him, I think they'd have done it before, given how little he's been given an opportunity.
True,
I think they like him enough that he's going to stay.
Chase Lucas.
Yeah, I think that's a good shout. Julian.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to say that because I'm seen as the hater, so I just want it to be known that it's a wider held view.
Charles Harris. At this point, the vote of confidence has gone squarely against him.
Basically, just look at our inactives list. Who's been inactive the most? Choose from there.
I mean, realistically, I'd say with the last, does Hooker even get added to the 53? If we're going to be going into a final game contender, he ain't going to be on the roster, is he?
I don't want to put him on. I just feel like I'd rather leave the space for someone else. We've got Teddy. We bought Teddy here to be Goff's backup. Leave it with Teddy.
I mean, for me, it's the third. We brought in the third quarterback rule for a reason. I think we've seen what happened last year with the 49ers and that. If they think he's ready, he can take some game stuff. They will bring him to 53 and just use the third quarterback rule on him where you get that free inactive spot with him there. You can still have someone else active. And that's the best way they're going to season him, because at least then getting game day experience, and then worst comes to worst, shit happens with Goff and Teddy. You can bring him in and run some kind of packages with him, even if it is a lot of just stuff we've seen with Fields where you run it and then deep shots that maybe connects or not. They'll have something in mind for him because they've got to. If they've picked him, they've got to have some plays in mind for him already.
I mean, if they wanted to,
neither QB's been on the injury report.
No,
like they are very healthy. I mean, if this was like, Herbert's screwed for the Chargers now, something like that. If your quarterback's genuinely hurt and you're not trusting your backup, then I would. But Teddy's not seeing a snap. Teddy's not been needed, and Goff has not been on an injury report this year. I don't.
Yeah, to that point, I would cut Teddy. If you bring Hooker in, it's because you think Hooker's better than him for this team. So cut Teddy. You don't need 3 QBs. And you've already paid him the money. It's a sunk cost at this point. So it's one or the other. It doesn't make any difference to money for Cam.
Yeah. All I'd ask the question is does Hooker gain anything from coming in at this point this year now? I would argue no. Because he's clearly not going to play. I mean, he might get the game day atmosphere and that, but I don't think it's going to really give him anything tangible. I'd rather have a spot at another part of the roster where they can contribute in game. I'd take more players, take a deeper squad, more injuries, you can cope with. That's where I'm at now. If I had any injury concerns about the 2 starters, fine, but I don't. So that's where I'm at with it.
Look, I agree. They've both been healthy, but you look at the amount of QB injuries we've had this year. I don't want to risk it. There's a reason we were the ones that did it. It should have been the 49ers, considering that's their like case study of why it's happening. It should have been them. No, we're the ones that brought it in. So I think we're buying into that. So yeah, we've got Hooker. We're going to use it because, as I say, he doesn't have to be active. You can have him inactive, have someone else active, and then it's only if you need him, you can use him. Then you don't have to have him active to then have him be the third QB. You're not really losing a game day spot with him being there. You're still going to get to have, I don't know, Benito Jones active over him because the whole rule works that he's on the 53. You make him inactive on game day, and it's only if Teddy and Goff both get hurt that then you use him. So you're not really losing anything on game day by having him there. It's only if you want to keep around a Chase Lucas, a Stephen Gilmore, some bugs over him. I think Hooker offers this team more, in terms of potential usage, than a Bugs does right now, because Bugs is being shit. We're not really using Gilmore. At least we then got that backup of if we're going into, I don't know, the divisional, hopefully we get to the divisional round, but going into divisional round and it's against Dallas, and Parsons snaps Goff, and then in the fourth quarter, Tank Lawrence gets Teddy. Who are we going to chuck at QB?
Never mind QB. I buy the argument he does more than Bugs. But wildcat quarterbacking, never mind throwing the ball. Have him active and have a package or two where you run a similar play to what Fields and DJ Moore did. You could run that with JMO and Hooker. There are legitimate ways you could put teams in jeopardy by having a guy with his mobility, but you don't have to have him being the starting quarterback.
Yeah. Don't forget, you're going to be calling Aleem, CJ, and Houston back up by the end of the year as well. So a lot of these fall guys are going to be gone by then. So we've got starters to come back as well.
Yeah, if we name 5 fall guys, though, it's...
Yeah. Final question. Sorry.
I just wouldn't have activated his window so early. I'd have just kept it. I'd have left it till the last moment. Because now you're having to force the decision early. We should never have put ourselves in this situation. Because if you do
they have to
act that Vikings game. Yeah, if you get to that Vikings game, then you can make a decision. If Teddy and Goff are healthy going into the playoff run, then you're like, oh, well, actually, it's one game we're risking, not 3 or 4 whenever we've got to risk him now.
I think that's why we've done it now. That's why I think we're going to activate him, because then at least he's had actual practice reps. So if we do get to that situation with the last game against the Vikings, he's been in practice, learning the playbook with live reps with receivers and that, instead of just chucking him in, because just chucking him in on week 18 straight off NFI, he's not going to get the best introduction to NFL. At least he's had integration of practice, potential integration on game day. So when it does come to hopefully that week 18 game where we've got the division wrapped up and we can play him, he's having that best possible chance to see what you get from him rather than just chuck him in the deep end and saying, right, show us what you've got. Giving
But
him
you
that
could have
best possible
activated
chance.
him now and given him 3 weeks until that game to practice. That's what I mean. You do the same window and you can still bring him in on 18. You've kind of expedited the process of it.
So I think you've hit the nail on the head with exactly why they've done it. We just haven't followed it through to the conclusion. The reason why they've activated him is because they feel like he's ready. They fully intend to put him on the 53. They just want to activate the window because they think he's physically there in terms of his recovery from the ACL, and it's absolutely nothing to do with anything else other than, here we go, it's time. Yeah. And that's it. It's nothing to do with timing or are we going to activate him or not. He's getting activated. Because otherwise, you do exactly what you said, which is make sure you do it as late as possible to just open the window just in case you need him. But this is, no, he's coming.
Oh, he's coming.
Well, because if he's definitely coming, then it doesn't matter when you do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Final question I'll throw to Ryan was, for all of these from Mike the Marine, says, why not put JMO on kick returner?
I've tweeted this many times.
I know.
Right, let's be honest. He's already had a fumble. Craig Reynolds on kickoffs. He don't move the needle for me. He just gets it, and what does he do? He runs up the middle. He's not exactly the most dynamic athlete. Did Jameson Williams play special teams at Bama? He did. Like I say, he had return special ability. Khalif Raymond can break off one an hour every now and again, but our average starting field position, it's okay most weeks, but could it be better? Sure. If Goff is struggling to get the ball at Jameson Williams and not corner players, then just let him work. Like, just give him the ball. Like I say, there's no point. Like I say, you can't say we can't put him out there because we're protecting him. We don't want him to get hurt. Well, you're protecting him, but then you're not using him.
Yeah.
You might as well roll the dice on him, might you? Like I said, you're not going to do it with Jameer Gibbs, even though he's also played special teams because he gets a large workload. Jameson Williams, like I say, could break off a kick return touchdown that changes the game. Will Craig Reynolds ever do that? I'm going to say no.
No, probably not. I've got one more question actually from our good friend Brent. So gotta ask this one. He says, from the practice squad, who are you prioritising elevating? So I'll list you out the practice squad and just see who you think sticks out. Linebacker Mitchell Agude, wide receiver Maurice Alexander, defensive lineman Tyson Alualu, kicker Michael Badgley, quarterback David Blau, defensive lineman Quinton Bohanna, guard Matt Farniak, tight end Anthony Ferkser, wide receiver Doris Fountain, offensive lineman Connor Galvin, defensive lineman Bruce Irvin, running back Jamar Jefferson, safety Brandon Joseph, wide receiver Tom Kennedy, offensive lineman Michael Nies, I can't say his name, Nies,
yeah.
Nies, thank you, and offensive lineman Michael Schofield.
Alo.
See, I'd bring Bohanna up and Cam Bugs.
Yeah, I think with we have to sign him. That's the thing. With Alo, you can obviously do the elevation. So that's I would sign Bohanna. If I look down at my phone in 5 minutes when we finish and that's happened, I wouldn't be surprised because he's shown a lot more than Bugs has this season. Yeah, Alo, for me.
None of them, but you know what? I might give Brandon Joseph a go. I've not been enamoured with safety play, and in pre-season, showed the odd flash, like you say. Like, do you know what? Yeah, the snaps from to be had there.
Cut either Julian or Charles and bring up Bruce permanently. I just feel like he's shown more in one game than the other two have all season.
Yeah.
One great sack and one WWE sack.
It'll do for me. Right.
And it was a fucking great sack.
It was a great sack. That'll do it for us, guys. Thanks for staying with us for extra time. We'll see you on Wednesday for the college show. For now, goodbye.
Bye.